That's what I'm talking about. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, my wonderful Arvanauts. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fam. What's going on, people? And welcome to episode 3 of Assignment Unpossible, The Carriers Part 2. I am your humble host, Arvin Elleron. I hope everyone is doing well. I apologize that we are getting started a little late today. I had thought that I would be doing this actually from the Jersey Shore where I was vacationing with my family, but the internet there was hot garbage, and I could not find a way to get it done. And so I ended up leaving my vacation a little early to drive home, but that meant that I had to fight New Jersey traffic. So I just popped in the door about 40 minutes ago, probably, and I had to immediately run over to get things started. So I am sorry that we're starting a little late. It is my fault. Blame me. But I am very excited to have the crew with me as we get ready for some awesome 60s spy action with Assignment Unpossible. Before I get there, I do want to remind everyone about ways to support the stream. If you have not done so already, please follow this channel. That is a big way that you can help things. Please, if you have not done so already, please make sure to retweet the stream. !tweet will allow you to do that. Thank you for all the tweets and retweets from players and from the viewers as well. Please continue to do that. That would be much appreciated. !Arv tweets will get you over to my Twitter, where you can actually join up with my Twitter and see when I post different announcements about cool things that are happening. ! As I said, CTT or ! Tweet will let you retweet the stream, which would be lovely. ! Arv Cord will get you over to my Discord channel, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams, which is always a good thing. ! Arv Shop will let you get over to my merchandise area, where you can pick up stuff right now relating just to the Infinity and Beyond crew, but very soon we are going to have merchandise for both Esper Genesis and for this very campaign, Assignment Unpossible, as well. So definitely make sure to check that out. Of course, we've got the Patreon, ! Arvtreon, which is currently sitting at $393.96, although according to what Brahms just said, there should be another thing incoming. So if that's true, that's awesome. I will wait for that, although my Patreon thing sometimes has been a little weird. So give me just a second here. Let's reset. Whoa! Is that from you? Holy cow. I have not gotten the note yet. Is that from you, Brahms? Damn, look at that, people. We have hit the 425 mark, 428.96. How about that? Where did that come from? Or is that you, Geronimo? Dude, if that, I don't know who that is. You did a $10 tier. So Geronimo was doing his thing. Well, first of all, Brahms, thank you for the $10 tier. I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much, dude. Very much. I really appreciate that. Geronimo, if that's you doing the other part, thank you, dude. Geronimo has been like super Mr. Generous guy with a bunch of gift subs that he gave as of late to the GOG.com community and all that stuff. So thank you, dude. That's really cool. Thank you so much. Wow. So we are at 428.96. That means you guys are going to have some awesome Patreon rewards coming your way as well. So that's really cool. Wow. That's a good way to start out the show. Thank you so much to Brahms. Thank you to Geronimo. Thank you guys so much. I don't know what's going on with my Patreon thing at the moment, but I'm going to have to double check it and see what's happening because I don't know what's happening with it. But anyway, so very excited about that. Thank you guys so much. The last thing I want to mention is that sub button right above the sub window. We just had a resub earlier today, which was Geronimo, who subscribed for 2 months in a row. So again, thank you, Geronimo, for that resub. I appreciate it. I saw that. Yep. I was just getting to that, Geronimo. So thank you so much, man. Again, thank you for your generosity. Thank you guys so much. That's awesome, guys. So we are back above 400 on the Patreon, and we are heading up. I think we're at 37 subs, so we're closing in on that 40 sub mark as well. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate that. You guys are the best. Schedule. Tonight, we've got Assignment Unpossible. Tomorrow, we have got more Esper Genesis as we come close to wrapping up, hopefully, the Crisis at Peltavaria, the current adventure that the crew is on. That should be a lot of fun. And then next week, which is the last week of August, the last official week of summer, we will have the Adventures of Middle-earth, our second session. That'll happen on Tuesday. Then I'll be playing some more Battletech on Pen and Pixels. And then next Friday, we'll be playing probably some more Uncharted 2 as I wrap that game up before we prepare for September. And I got a lot of surprises in store for you folks for that as well. But with that said, I am now going to unmute myself so that I can let my poor patient players that had to wait while I was wandering through Jersey traffic. And now I'm going to unmute them. And then I'm going to head over here. Wait for it. Dun, 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 dun. There they are. Look at that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your 60s crew, if I ever saw one. I'm very excited to have them with us. And again, it is the Assignment Unpossible crowd. It took me even a little while longer to get to you folks because all of a sudden the Patreon decided to go nuts. So, but thank you, everybody in the chat for doing that. And thank you to my wonderful players for being patient. It is great to be back on board with these folks. And I will start, as I generally do, with the gentleman who is directly to my right, who's wearing a cap that's totally unique. Doesn't have anything to do with anything else that's currently out there. Any kind of tweet related to the show had nothing to do with his cap at all. And that, of course, is Mr. Gregory Stengel. Hello, Greg. How are you? How's life, sir? And how are you and who are you playing and all that good stuff? And can you confirm that this is only your hat also?
I cannot confirm that.
Okay.
That is, I can't deny that it's not only my hat, but neither can I confirm that it's only my hat. So it could be a, golden age sex icon's hat as well. Check your Twitter feeds and you'll see if it is somebody else's. Anyway, yes, Grimjack21502. I am here. I'm going to be playing the shade of the group, Ben Voss, as we get back into a bit of a pickle, as Ben was just playing ball in a sandlot that was run by Russians trying to masquerade as Americans and biological warfare, and he just wanted to play some ball. He just, he just wanted to. And all of a sudden, click, click, gun to the back of his head. It's a sound Ben's heard before, but maybe a bit more dire this time around. We'll see. I am so psyched to get back into it. I love playing with these people. Catching up with them is the best. Let's do this. I'm done talking. Let's go.
Awesome. Very excited to have you as always, Greg. Thank you for being here. Moving right along, we have someone who's got a cool new background that I was admiring. Like I was really digging the Fallout vibe, Fallout 3 vibe that I felt from it. Fallout 4 vibe, I guess. But it looks awesome. Lauren, how are you? How is life, the universe, and everything? Who are you playing, and how have you been?
I'm good. I'm not concerned by any hat-related conspiracies. Not worried about it. No,
it's fine.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm Not Salty Ginger over on the Twitters, and tonight I'm playing Stasi Sokolov from Moldova. She is the heavy of the group. She crushes men's heads with her thighs.
And women. Equal opportunity.
I do not discriminate when I kill people, and I think that says a lot about me.
It does. It shows your broad-based understanding of death, which is always good to know. Yes, I'm very much excited to see how Stasi handles things. I was laughing driving back, listening to the video in preparation for this, and listening to people talk about playing a Russian, playing an American, playing a Russian, but just a Russian. Like and Stasi pointed out that she speaks Russian, even though it might not be obvious, and everyone's like, okay, that's great. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Stasi handles things. Is that only when she kills with her thighs? I mean, it depends, Geronimo. But she kills with lots of things. I gave her boot daggers last time, and that may have been a mistake. But
that's right.
Yes, you have boot daggers.
This is gonna go great. We're fine, you guys. We're fine.
Always a pleasure, Lauren. Moving right along, we have got, of course, Little Red Dot, also known as Chelsea Steverson. Hi, Chelsea. How are you? How's life? Who are you playing? How has the world been for you as of late?
The world is a glorious, glorious place. I'm stoked to be here in the world doing this thing with you guys, pretending we're in another world. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm really good. It's great. Saw some people at Gen Con, which was cool. And so like we're back behind screens again, and not in person. Yeah, I am playing our lovely what am I playing? No, the grifter. That's right. I'm playing our grifter, Vivian Merlot. She's a, struggling actress from the Hollywood big screen, and she's kind of gotten herself in a bit of a pickle with this group of spies. I want to think what was spies. I think the beauty parlor was the last place Vivian, in fact, was seen in this Russian cult. Seems appropriate, right?
That is correct.
That is true. Yeah. So that's really what I'm up to. Focusing on the important things.
That's the thing that matters. You absolutely were in the beauty parlor, and I'm looking forward to bringing people up to speed. Just reminding everybody who was not here last time about that soon. There was a lot of clicking, click of guns before at the very end of the last episode. So there was a lot of that going on, and we've had the ultimate cliffhanger for the month as we waited to see. But always a pleasure. Thank you, Chelsea, to have you on board with us. And last but certainly not least, of course, the newest member of the team. Who has spent the last month dressed in this exact same outfit while he crawled through the mud, and that of course is Mike Hunt. Mike, Unmade Gaming, of course. Pleasure to have you here. How's life, or how does it feel to be back on the other side of civilization?
It's great. You can actually see how proficient I am at climbing through mud by how clean this is.
Yeah, so, I know exactly.
If you ever need some guy to climb under barbed wire, as you've all seen in the movies and from the Hollywood, that's exactly what I've done, and I look great at it. No, I did get back I went right from Gen Con straight to military training for the last 3 weeks. I am exhausted, and this is the first time I've turned on my camera. So you have the first stream in a month. So that's pretty interesting. I can't wait to jump into it and figure out what the hell these notes mean.
That's right. And you are playing today, by the way?
I am playing, as I was just told, I am playing Damien Antonio. Nailed it. Thanks, Lauren.
Yes, Damien, who of course is the team's tech, also known as the tech or the fixer, who, as we heard last time, makes spy dope shit.
I do. I make
average dope shit, above average dope shit, but different kinds. So
yeah,
this is good stuff. Let's get some music going here, and I will update us on stuff. First of all, where's my music at? There we go. A little bit of Americana. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. We are in America. Not really. We are actually in a place that sort of seems like America. At the beginning of our last episode, Benjamin Voss received this mission briefing in a video arcade, a vintage 1960s arcade, in which he received information about this plot, a plot which was taking place in Eastern Europe behind the Iron Curtain. Apparently, there is a facility that was being used by the Soviets as a training facility to plan a bacteriological warfare attack upon the United States. The problem is that the information that they gathered about this was piecemeal and unclear because it had come from one of the region's top agents who had gone silent after a couple of months. He had been sent to find out the details of this and then basically went silent. And so at this point, the assignment Unpossible team, the Americans, are getting pretty freaked out about what's taking so long to get this report back and are worried about what's happening. And so when things are in trouble, what you do is immediately call forward the assignment Unpossible team. 3 months off of their triumphant discovery of Hitler's treasure, the team assembled and was sent off to East Berlin, where they managed to track groups of people to this place, 47 Roderstrasse, where it turns out these agents, 2 women and 2 men, had been going in groups, joining up there and then being taken to a training facility which the team discovered was called the Willow Grove Training Facility. The team managed to, with a minimum of lethal damage, managed to eliminate one of those teams and take their place. Thanks to some careful listening, a walkie-talkie relay system set up by Damien and company, Benjamin hanging on to the bottom of a car as it banged through European roads, and Stasi and Vivian basically doing the rest by taking out everybody in the car once the car was knocked off of the road by the spikes, which Damien had helpfully scattered in front of it, just taking out one tire, it must be pointed out. And so the 4 were killed and then folded into the trunk by Stasi after they were already dead. And then the crew took the car the rest of the way to the Willow Grove training facility. But what they discovered there was rather odd because, as you might be able to see in that picture up there, they found what looks essentially like an idyllic 1960s American town in the middle of the woods, with cars built in, with a drugstore and a theater and a kind of like a diner, a souvenir shop kind of leading up and down the street. And as they entered this place, they found the person who they had actually, one of the people that they had been sent to find, who was a guy named Janosch Pasek, who was an enemy expert on American traditions and culture, and is kind of a legend in the sort of Eastern European spy business. Except Pasek said that he was not Pasek. He said that he was a man named Peterson. And actually, when he showed up, John Peterson, and when they showed up, he asked to actually speak to them and sort of introduce them to the town. As the team went around the town, sort of being introduced to different people, the one place that was boarded over and closed down was the theater in the middle of the street. Now, the theater was the other place that the team had gotten some piecemeal information on. Supposedly, the theater was a front for some lab in which presumably this bacteriological warfare research was taking place. It was the one place that he did not talk much about. Instead, Peterson was happy to talk about Doc's store and about the beauty salon and about all the other things up and down the street, a basketball court, a baseball field, showed them all the different places. And when they left his office, after he told them how they were going to be trying to learn to be better Americans, the team ended up splitting up and going in different directions. Vivian and Stasi went to the beauty salon where they talked to the person who was running the said beauty salon. Damien went to talk to Doc at his store. And Benjamin went to a baseball field to sort of hit around the ball and see if he could find anyone, specifically if he could find, I believe it was Bobby, if I'm not mistaken, was the one that he was waiting for. So, at the very end of our last session, Stasi and Vivian seemed to be having a very good time of it until they heard the telltale sound of a gun cocking and people asking why it was that they seemed so comfortable in this environment and who actually were they working for. Damien, who was talking with Doc, heard the exact same thing, except the person saying that to him was Mr. John Peterson, again, Yashok Pasek in real life. And last but certainly not least, Benjamin on this baseball field heard this as well from Bobby himself, who basically was talking to him about, this how well he swung the bat, and he was going to tell him exactly how American he actually was. And so, with the team split up and all confronted with their difficult and frightening decisions, causing all of them at some point today to tweet out how they had been caught by a Russian cult, I now put this back in the hands of our players. And I'm going to start, first of all, with Benjamin. I'm going to turn down that swelling Americana music. It's awesome and all, but that's a little bit too loud, Kevin MacLeod. Let's drop that down a bit. That's okay. That's more like it. Okay, so I'm going to start here with Benjamin. So, Ben, you were on the baseball field. You have heard this cocking of the gun, and you just heard Bobby's comments to you about, now I'm going to find out just how American you actually are. And that was the last thing you heard. Now we come out of freeze frame. What do you want to say in response to him?
What was the name of the operative that went missing?
Jonas Smith.
Okay. Okay. So as he slowly turns around, I don't think he ever even turned around to see Bobby at the end of the episode.
That's true. You were judging it based on his voice, but that's true.
Right. He will slowly turn around, but he's going to keep the bat, down, not threateningly up, but, kind of a heavy side to the ground like a cane.
Okay.
And kind of rest his hand on the pommel. We're gonna see how how American I am here. Well, Jonas, I'm not sure exactly what it is here you want from me, but am I supposed to do another one of these tests? Is that what we're doing here, or why don't you tell me?
So when you say the word, when you say Jonas, his eyes kind of widen for a minute, and you see his gun, and it definitely is a gun. He holds the gun sort of up and closer, and he says, "What are you talking about? My name's Bobby."
That's what I said, Bobby. What do you? Is this another test? Is this a?
And he kind of, his eyes narrow, and he's like, "Is this some kind of further test you playing a game? You can tell Peterson that I know the game he's playing, and I'm playing it just fine."
Then we're both. Hey, we're on the diamond. We're both playing the game. I think we have the same uniform on. Let's enjoy this lovely day. Why don't you pitch? I'll hit. You can put the gun down, and we can talk like Americans.
He sort of looks at you again. He holsters his gun, and you can notice now, Ben, as you're looking at him, that there's a strange feeling you have in that. Remember, I mentioned, what you might remember, that when you first saw Bobby, both you and Stasi had this odd feeling about him, that there was something kind of off about him, that he didn't have any sort of, like, first of all, affect the way that Peterson did. Peterson's very, like, outgoing and friendly and gregarious. Creepy, but still gregarious, whereas Bobby was all like just, stone-faced the whole time. You notice now, as you're looking, with that prior knowledge building on that, you notice that he's holding the gun in his right hand as if he knows what to do with it, but you also notice that his hand is shaking slightly. And as he kind of holsters the gun, you can see him reach down, he picks up a ball, and he says, "Fine, I'm going to pitch you some questions. You're going to hit me some real answers." And he goes up to the mound, and he sort of waits at the mound looking at you.
Ben will twirl the bat and take a regular stance behind or beside home plate.
And he reaches back, does a little soft pitch, first of all, so it's easy. I assume you're going to try to hit it.
I want to hear the question first before I swing.
Okay, I have to think about how to do this. He says, "All right, first question." He says, "You an American or Russian? You tell me straight." And he tosses the ball towards you. Or not towards you, towards the plate.
Ben is going to try to hit that sumbitch as hard as he possibly can.
Okay.
Directly at Bobby.
I'm going to have you take a risk for this.
Okay.
I'm not going to make you use a mission point. By the way, for people who don't know, these folks have mission points they can use. They are currently down to 4, but I did not start the timer until literally right this moment, so it's 9:25. So that means 20 minutes from now, 9:45, another mission point will be gone. So, okay, so go ahead and let's make that roll.
Okay, what do you want me to...
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know whether I'd call this... I'm going to have you roll, I think... I'm trying to decide if this is like is this a heavy check or is it a shade check?
This is definitely a shade check. If I had my 2 cents, I'm going to say it's a shade check.
Yeah, I guess. There's a... Okay, you know what? Yeah, because you're not actually trying to grift. I'll buy that. Yes. Let's make it a shade check. So that means 5.
All right. 17.
Okay. So you said you hit the ball directly at him, pretty much?
Hard as I can.
Okay. So you do. So you hit the ball directly at him, and he goes out of the way, and he looks at you for a moment. He tilts his head, and he says, "No goddamn red could hit the ball that hard." And he says,
right.
And he nods. He says, "All right." He picks up the second ball next to him. And he reaches back, prepares to pitch, and he says, "Next question. Who the hell are you working for?"
He's going to pop this one up.
Okay.
He wants to try to pop up, in the infield, just get under it, just try to crack it high in the sky so they both kind of look up for a second.
Okay, I say you could do that without a check. All right.
Okay, yeah, he's just going to knock it straight up into the air, and he's going to say, "Well, if I'm not a red, and you're who you think I am, you answered your own question.
And so he looks like he was like waiting to catch the ball, and then he kind of pulls back his hands and lets it drop on the ground, and then he sort of laughs and goes, "That's typical. You just dance around answers, right? I know that game too." And then he kind of snatches up the ball. He looks annoyed, and gets back in the mound. He's like, "All right, final question. You're American. You're working in the same business I do. What the hell took you all so long?" And then he tosses the ball again. This time he throws it hard.
He's going to bunt.
Okay.
And as he steps forward and bunts, pushing the ball back towards the pitcher's mound, he'll say, "What took us so long? You've been quiet a while, Jonas."
And he kind of picks it up and he grabs the ball and kind of shakes his head. And then he walks past you and tosses you the ball as if you're switching positions, basically. And he says, "I got a little bit held up." And again, you can see as he tosses the ball to you, he seems to do it with great ease. But again, you notice that something is off. His hand seems to be shaking a little bit. And as he goes around to sort of pick up the bat, he says, "All right, your turn. Questions?"
Number one, when he tosses him the ball,
Yeah.
he does not catch it.
Okay.
He allows it to drop to the ground. And he's going to just walk to the pitcher's mound. I'm assuming there's like a bucket of balls or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little pile of balls, basically. Yeah.
Right. And he's going to kind of reach down and almost take one of them. And he's going to say, "So when did they give it to you?"
And he says, he kind of looks at you and kind of shakes his head and he says, "That's smart. That's real smart. They didn't give it to me. It wasn't meant to be like this." Now that you're looking closer, you can see now, it's a warm day, but you haven't been out there playing that long. And he has this kind of sheen of sweat. And he says, he kind of sighs and he says, "Truth is, it wasn't supposed to go down this way." And so now, as presuming you're willing to sort of toss it, he starts explaining a few things to you. He says, "First of all, I know you just got into town. I don't know how much you know about what's going on here. Do headquarters know any more than they knew when they sent me?"
We found out more than what we were told, that they had an idea.
He shakes and nods. He says, and he kind of looks around for a moment as if he's looking to see if anyone's there. He's like, "Yeah, well, there's a lot more than that. You already heard about the theater, the lab. I imagine headquarters got my message about that."
They didn't tell us anything about that, but if that's what you sent, sure.
And he says, "That is what I sent." And he says,
He's deliberately lying now.
Say again.
Ben is deliberately lying now because he's playing his own game now that he's on the pitcher's mound.
Yep, I gotcha. So he says, and by the way, are you pitching to him at all? I just want to make sure as we're having this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys go ahead.
Yeah, he's gonna grab a ball from the ground and toss it over, and everything is very slow here. He's not trying to strike him out. He's not trying to hit him with the ball. He's just taking it nice and easy, allowing him to crack a couple wherever he wants to place them.
Okay. And he says as he hits the ball a couple times, and again, hits it with ease, but again, you can tell that there's some effort, that he's almost as if he's trying to hide the effort that he's doing. And he says, "About 6 months ago, I got out here. You sent me in. This idyllic little town that you see of Willow Grove was at the time just a couple of buildings. Theater, drugstore, and the building at the end of the street. A place where Pasek meets all of his people." That's the first time he's referred to him as Pasek. He says, "I was one of the vanguard," they said. one of the first agents to come in, the one they trusted. Me and 10 others showed up. There were only a few Red soldiers here. It was all about putting together the town, they said. We helped them build it, put together this lovely Main Street. And then, you know what they had us do? And he kind of hits the ball again.
Kill a couple people?
It would have been a lot better if they did. And he hits the ball. Crack. He says, nope. They had us wait. Have us sit there and wait. Do nothing. Weeks pass. I give a couple of reports. No real pressure from the outside. In fact, no indication that anything was going on. I'm just sitting here. Then they start to bring in a few more people at a time. Just a couple. They don't tell us who it is. They just say that they're building up the town space. They say they want to train more people to be able to pose as Americans. The problem with that, you see, is that, and he, as he sort of hits the ball, you can see him maybe wince slightly, but it's not totally clear. He says, the problem with that is, how long have you been in the business? And crack again.
I'm the one throwing the ball now, kid.
He nods. All right. You ask me then.
How do I get into the theater?
And he says, oh, you just want to jump ahead. Think you got it all planned out. Just gonna go in there, march down, guns blazing, the American anthem behind you, right? Get right down there and solve it. That's the kind they're bringing in here now?
I'm not that kind of person, kid.
And he sort of looks, he kind of frowns, and he says, fine. Maybe you're one of the best. Maybe you're a shadow. But when you get down there, what you're going to find is exactly what I did. It's a bunch of death in bottles, and you won't be able to do anything to stop it. Because by the time you get down there, my friend, you're already dead. Okay, now pause. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. I'm going to jump over now to Stasi and Vivian. You are sitting in the beauty salon, having just heard this these gun being cocked behind you as you were having this discussion with, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I don't remember now the name of the person in the beauty salon. I got all the notes down. It was like Florence? It might have been Florence? I don't remember.
Sure, I'll buy that.
I think her name might have been Flo. Anyway, yeah, you've been talking pleasantly to Flo, and then you heard the sound of these guns, and as you kind of look around behind you, you can see that actually both Flo and one of the women who was having her hair like dried in one of the big, 50 style hair dryers that was like over the head is now with curlers. She also has a gun pointed at you. And Flo is looking at you just deadly serious after having said, why is it you're having such an easy time with this place? You settled in real nice, like you don't need any training at all. And they're sort of waiting to hear from either one of you, Stasi or Vivian. I think Stasi's the one who's actually in the chair getting her hair cut, but
That's
Vivian
true.
is there
Vivian,
too.
what was she getting her nails done? What was she doing?
I think you might have been I know you were not getting your hair done. I think probably your nails done because you had already had, I think, haircut if I wasn't mistaken.
I'm just looking big-eyed at Vivian.
I eyeball Stasi in the mirror. 'Cause I'm sure there's like a mirror wall and like we
sure.
make eye contact.
Definitely there is.
And she says it's loud enough I can hear it.
Yep. Oh yeah. This is meant for both of you.
Okay. We are good at our jobs. Don't you want only the best here in this lovely place?
I'm still kind of shaky on the accent.
So you say that, in fact, Stasi?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's helpful.
And she nods and she says, really? What if we don't believe you? What if we just shoot you down right now, right here in this salon? How would you feel before we did that?
Well, somebody will miss me on set next week.
And Flo's eyes narrow and her kind of eyes flicker to the woman with the curlers. And they both nod and they say, all right then. And she steps back, gun is holstered, person with the curlers holsters her gun, and Flo says, all right. John said that you'd be you might be a tough one to try to break. I wanted to make sure whether it was true. Good, you've passed yourself a test. As long as you can maintain that kind of discipline when you're confronted with an emergency situation, you should do well. There are going to be plenty of times where someone hits you with something you don't expect, and the Americans want you to make that kind of mistake. So, as long as you can stay in character, you're liable to do pretty well, I would say.
I never break character. Well, that's what I tell everybody anyways. I look at Stasi, I'm like, your hair. You look great.
I love it. I love it so much.
And she and Flo smiles, and it's this basically, Stasi, she's done this kind of beehive, like beehive setup, like take up, so it's very, I mean, you were ready for I Love Lucy, like you were good to go. So she sort of looks and says, yes, I think that'll do. One thing you want to be careful about there is you want to make sure, now, what was your name? Susie Smith, I believe? Susie, you'll want to make sure that when someone gets you with a question like that, you want to make sure that you're smile a little more, not so serious. Sometimes you can give people the wrong impression. Americans smile all the time, even when they've got no reason to.
Oh, I'm doing it?
She says, yes, well, you have to work on that a little bit, but it's all right, I suppose. And looks over.
It feels very unnatural.
And she sort of smiles. She says, well, you'll get used to it. As long as you just keep doing your best, you'll end up working things out. We're all on the same team here. It's all about doing what we can for the motherland.
Of course.
And she smiles and then sort of says, well, I think that's all right then. At this point, the woman who had been holding the gun with the curlers has the dryer back open. She has a magazine, Life magazine, you can see, that she's still kind of leafing through. And Flo says, all right then. I think you're all set to go. If you have any more questions for me that I can help you with in terms of how to fit in better in an environment like this, please don't hesitate to ask. All of us are here to make things easier for you, and we are, of course, very thankful for your work in this glorious mission.
Yes, of course. We are all very grateful, I would say. Aren't we, Susie?
Yes.
You really must have gotten to her. The smile is improving.
It's
The hair.
like a beacon.
It's a good thing they have placed you as a housewife for your next mission. Stasi?
That sounds like something I would do really well.
Doesn't she just embody the American wife?
And Flo sort of says, yes, quite so. What did you call her just now? Name?
Susie.
Oh, all right. I thought I heard something weird. All right, yeah, that's right. Well, I imagine that she'll do just fine. In fact, housewife training starts tomorrow. You'll learn all kinds of things about cooking. There's quite a bit of home economics going on there, and a bit of needlepoint, too.
Good. I am
Well,
so
aren't
happy.
we just jittering with joy?
I love needles.
And she says, as for you, and she looks at you, Gloria, I believe. Now, you realize that this outfit of yours is fine, but it's not necessarily going to do for, well, how do I put this? It's the speakeasy.
I'm sorry, come again.
They did tell you where they were having you work, right?
You're a dancer, Gloria, remember?
That's right. You're a dancer.
Thank you, Susie, for
Not
the
a private
reminder.
dancer though, or a dancer for money. Just a dancer. And she points down to the
Great, there's
building.
no money involved.
She says, but if you go right outside here, right by the building where John actually spoke to you a little bit, I believe, right across the street from there is, well, that's the speakeasy. You knock on the door 3 times and you get let down into a club, a place where entertainment happens. Americans are very into entertainment, and you'll be doing the entertaining.
Well, aren't I the lucky lady? Susie, maybe we should make sure I get to work on time.
Yes.
I can't show up late for my first dance.
Can't do that. We should go. That sounds fun.
Well, thank you for your hospitality. And she kind of eyeballs her fingernails, which are probably done really, really poorly.
Yeah,
at least
not
in
so good.
comparison to what she's used to. She makes a curt look at Susie and like bolts for the door, quickly but quietly.
You notice that they've been done in this rather garish shade of red, which could theoretically stand for, in the red, white, and blue, but also might fit on a hammer and sickle flag, maybe. You don't know.
Sure,
It's just,
sure. You're not, really sure.
Right. And
are we walking out together?
Yeah, are you guys you're walking out together, I assume?
Yes, of course,
Okay.
yes.
So as you're walking out, she says, "All right, thank you for stopping by. Enjoy your time in town."
Thank you so much for all the help.
Okay, and the door slams shut. Ching, 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 behind you.
Is it gonna come out if I wash it? Is it going to come out if I wash it? Is it going to come out?
Yes, Susie.
Yes.
Of course it will come out. You can put your curlers in tonight. And I kind of grab her arm. Is there like an alleyway or somewhere that's like not the street we can talk?
Yes. In fact, if you were to go, there is an alley by the theater, which is not too far from here, or there's across the street. You can see there is an alleyway that's just between what looks like almost like an ice cream shop, maybe, and then a 5 and dime type store next to it.
Perfect. I quickly drag her across the street to this out of the way place. I will not dance for a Russian.
You won't dance for me?
Susie?
Oh, sorry, professional. Yes, no, we cannot have that. Although it would probably be very good if that makes you feel better. No.
Does your hair make you feel better?
No! Sorry. My voice doesn't usually get that high as Stassi, but this is a special occasion.
So, I'm supposed to go in and dance on tables for men?
Yep, we have places like that in Moldova. They're not good. I mean, they're fine. They're fine if it's what you want.
Do they
to
even
do.
know who I am?
No, if they knew who you were, our cover would be completely
So
blown.
what? Should we reconvene? I feel like
Yes.
the two of us walking into a speakeasy with plans of me hi-hoing on a table is, in fact, potentially a problem.
Didn't we say we were going to meet there later after everybody had kind of gathered intel? We said we were going to go to the gathering tonight.
Well, I won't be early.
No, of course not. We should go get ready for a while, see if we can pick up anything in the girls' dormitories.
Oh. Yes, we live here.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Mm-hmm.
Go, Susie. Lead the way.
I will. Very in charge. I'm a beacon of apple pie.
How does one get ready for a speakeasy?
Oh, I'll show you. It's pretty fun.
Okay, as you guys are about to head off that direction, let me jump, last but certainly not least, to Damien Antonio, who is standing outside talking to Doc at Doc's shop, and has just had none other than Mr. John Peterson, actually Janosch Pasek, say to him, we're going to find out just how American he actually is. As you're standing behind him. So again, he's basically got the suspicion going on about who you actually are, Damien. And both Doc silently is regarding you, and there's the gun that you heard cocked with John Peterson saying that behind you.
Yeah, man, he's a nervous boy. Because I think he said something about he adjusts his glasses, so he actually takes them off and he begins to clean them. He says, I'm sorry.
And so you hear now the sort of sound of the steps moving close to you, and you actually can feel just ever so slightly in your back this cold metallic something in your back, and the voice drops low and said, I think I was extremely clear. I was asking you quite simply to explain why it is you are as American as you seem to be. This is too easy. You are too easy, Edward. I don't believe that you actually are who you say you are.
Is it too easy?
And he sort of stops, and you can see now, you haven't looked back yet, of course, but
Yeah.
Doc is, you can see Doc sort of has this kind of, like he has this bemused expression, like what? Almost like he's exchanging, and he's not looking at you, he's very clearly looking at whoever's behind you. And finally you hear Peterson's voice again say, either you're really, really good at playing the idiot, or you actually don't know what the hell is going on here. What do you think, Doc? And Doc says, well, I don't rightly know. I think it's possible that perhaps this, they're sending them out younger and younger these days. Maybe that's part of the point. You know, John, if they make someone who reacts like this, stupid like, couldn't come up with a better American, could you? And there's kind of a chuckle, and then Peterson sort of says, is that what this is, Edward? Are you really this stupid?
Can I turn around, sir?
And you feel the metal thing withdraw from your back. He's like, sure. Go ahead and turn around slowly.
I'm gonna roll up my sleeve. Just this one right here.
Okay.
Is that okay?
And he says, all right.
Now, Arv, I'm gonna take a risk here.
Okay.
And roll for some dope ass spy shit.
Okay.
I want crib notes on my a sheet of crib notes. That's me taking notes on how to be an American.
Okay. You were just about to run out of a mission point. Do you want to use a mission point here for something like this?
If we're gonna run out on it, absolutely. I'll burn that mission point before it goes away.
So, a sheet of crib notes. I've really got to decide if I want to make that a tech roll. You know what? I can't make that a tech roll. I'm going to say that that is a grifter roll, but because you're using a mission point, instead of, what do you have in grifter? Do you have...
I actually think I have 4 in grifter.
Okay, so if you do that with the mission point, that means you got 5.
Okay. I think I maxed out grifter and tech, and then
Okay.
nothing in the other one. So 5, so it was
D6. Yep, and you're looking again. The key here is to try to get high number as possible. 15 to 20 would be optimal. You guys were absolutely killing it last session, by the way.
17.
God damn, all you guys get is 17s. It's crazy. All right, so you tell me. You got these crib notes. So what?
Yeah, so he turns around and says, sir, can I pull up my sleeve real quick?
And he says, I suppose, why?
And as he pulls up his sleeve, there's just from his wristwatch down is a sheet of paper that rolls out with all of the notes that this guy gave him, that he's going to be a fry cook in Coney Island, and to say yes sir, and to adjust glasses when confused, and basically they're just ideas on how to play dumb.
Okay, this is removal, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he reaches out and kind of takes the paper and looks up and down, and he says, well, my God, Doc, we've actually got them now, keeping their notes. And he looks up and down at, in English, no less. And Doc's like, well, training methods have changed quite a bit since the old days, you know, John. Doesn't mean that they're lesser, though. We can't try to pretend that we're members of the motherland if we're going to invade the United States. And so Peterson nods and says, you're right about that, Doc. And he holsters his gun, he hands the crib notes back to you, and he says, all right then, Edward. I believe you. And perhaps you'll actually be good in this role. But please try to keep your eyes open. The last thing we want is people asking the wrong questions at the wrong times. Americans, some of them may be stupid, but they're not staggering morons. At some point, someone's going to figure out what's going on.
Got it. So don't be a moron then.
Don't be a moron. He says, maybe sometime 50 years from now, a New York real estate developer will prove you can be a moron and be president, but that's not now, okay? That's much later. And he sort of grins and says, sort of claps you on the shoulder very hard. Like, do you want to do anything when he does that, by the way? He doesn't, like, he's not trying to hurt you, but he, like, is like, you know.
I think he's slight, and so he, like, lunges forward. He almost embellishes that.
Okay. And he's like, all right, buck up, Eddie. You'll manage to do just fine. He's like, now remember, you can spend a little more time, but don't take too long. You got an early start tomorrow. Classes start early. Got to train you how to be a fry cook.
Okay, no problem, sir. And he adjusts his glasses nervously again and takes a picture.
Okay. And you see, when you do that, by the way, you see Peterson kind of tilts his head a little bit and then smiles broadly and says, all right, well, you have a good day now, Edward. And he moves off. You see that Doc has already entered the store, basically on the other side, and so you're left sort of standing there. Doesn't look like anybody else took notice of that interaction, by the way.
Yeah, he just kind of sighs, and then he turns back to talk to Doc and realizes that he's not there.
Yep.
And then sighs again and looks around. What other buildings were around here?
So there is a drugstore. There's the beauty salon that Vivian and Stasi went into. There is the building. There's, of course, the closed and boarded up theater. There's the places like the little dormitories, basically, that you guys are staying in across the street. And then you've also got a Five and Dime across from Doc's store. There's also an odd building across from the building where Peterson gave you, / Pasek gave you your little briefing. Right across from there is this sort of strange building that just seems like this nondescript house, almost just sort of sitting there, and you don't really know what that is. The doors and windows are all closed of that one. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's feeling super curious since he just got almost shot to death. But he's gonna go. I think Damon does take a look in the Five and Dime. This is like the 1960s style Radio Shack, right? So if he's gonna find supplies to tinker, this is where he's gonna find them.
That's definitely true. And tell me, before I jump away from you back to Benjamin, where are you at? Like, are there any particular items you're looking for in that Five and Dime?
Just small, like inconsequential things, like a little rotary toy that like hops across the thing, a lighter, like
yes,
those random things that he can take apart and use the insides to make other things.
Yes to all of those. And in fact, when you go in there, you're able to use a little bit of money. They actually are able to sell you some things, and they admire the fact that you're using American dollars to kind of pay for it. Like, that's good job. You must have gone to the bank already. You did not go to the bank already, but you happen to have that. So, all right, you're able to buy some of that equipment. As you continue this little slice of Americana, buying the slice of Americana, we're going to jump back to Benjamin. So, Ben, you had just heard Bobby / Jonas just say this line about, by the time you get down there, you're already dead. And then sort of hits the ball again, and then he kind of drops the bat and walks back, and there's two benches, basically like where the dugouts would be on either side, and he sits down on a bench. You notice that the bench is typically where the visiting team is, and he sits down on that bench heavily.
Ben would go over and pull close to him to talk in this manner. He's going to place himself between Jonas and the rest of the town, like the main street. So he'll have his back to the town and kind of shield Jonas from whatever he would have to say, using his own, as he kind of just errantly swings the bat like he's, just playing around, or he was at the pitcher's mound, so he'll just take a ball and throw it up and catch it as he's talking to him.
Okay.
And when Jonas sits down, he says, "Now come on, Jonas, you're gonna tell me that you've been here this long and that you got down there and you're already dead, but you didn't figure out how you screwed up?" And I'm not saying that to be mean, Jonas. I'm saying that smart guy like you that's still alive in this area, you went down there, realized too late what had happened. I'm asking you, how do I get in there? if you had to do it over again?
And he sort of shakes his head and he says, the way that I did it, because of, as you put it, the way that I screwed up, means no one's going to be able to do it the same way again. Before, when I first got here, Pasek wasn't the only one who had the key. I managed to find a way to make a wax impression of the lock. I got in. There's an elevator that leads all the way down to the basement. I got down there. He says, I'm not even starting at the beginning. I was confused, by all the delays, by why it was that I wasn't hearing anything else, why I hadn't heard anything from headquarters. And after a while, how many times can I give reports saying nothing here is happening? So finally, I took the only lead I had, the theater, the one place they told me not to go. I got this, managed to get the key, wasn't too difficult. At the time, like I said, there were a few people in town who had them. Made a wax impression, got in the door, there's an elevator that leads down to the basement. I go into the basement, and when I go over, there's another door down below. Easy enough to pick the lock, I think. I walk inside, and I see nothing but just cabinets full of death. He says, I look around, shelves and shelves full of these little plastic dishes. Now, I'm no medical scientist, but I know a petri dish when I see one. And I swear to you that what that stuff had has got to be, well, poison of some kind. Disease, illness, something. But that's not the scary part. They have down there enough vials, enough dishes, probably to poison a couple hundred people. But you can't poison 200 people and have that wipe out the United States. Unless you're planning to make the 200 people the ones that you're using as carriers. And that's what we are, Ben. All of us, every one of us in this town, is a carrier. Except for maybe Pasek. I don't know about him. Think about what they've had us do. They're making us into fry cooks, right? Working in schools, in churches, going to concerts, working with children. All of that has one thing in common. It's called working with people. They send us there after they've already infected us. We get there, interact with people. We don't even know why. Not once have I been given an objective since I've been here. Not once have I been told, this is what you will do when you get to America. Just learn to be American. That's all they say, over and over again. We get there, we infect thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And the next thing you know, we're all dead. Because while I was in that place, on the way out, I noticed there was something funny about the doorknob. Had something on it, some kind of paste liquid. And then I realized I didn't have any glove on. Stupid, right? A rookie mistake. But ever since then, I started feeling odd. First it was just a cold. Then it got worse. Cold sweats. Then pain. Then something like the flu. And the last couple of days I've been doing everything I possibly can to try to pretend that I am completely healthy and normal, because if they figure out that I've got it, they will know what happened, and I will be dead. But then, I must already be dead, and that's why I couldn't contact headquarters either. They've been watching ever since it happened. Someone knew that they broke in. Pasek went nuts, changed all the locks, made only one key just for himself, put the entire town on lockdown. Right in front of me, he killed someone. A Russian. A Red for sure. I thought it was going to be me. But as he was going around talking to all of us, he said, I know the rest of you are trustworthy, but I can't take any chances. And that's the killer of it. He's infecting a bunch of these people, the true believers. They're gonna die from Mother Russia, and they'll never know why. And you can see that he's kind of, again, shivering a little bit.
I'm not a scientist, Jonas. Not a doctor. But, if I'm a man like Pasek, I'm not gonna hang around some place that could get me dead. So that's a good thing about rabble rousers and mob leaders, they're never at the front. Did you ever notice that? They're always handing out the pitchforks and the torches from a safe distance. Pasek strikes me as a guy like that. So if he's here among all of this, there's got to be an antidote to it. There's no way he got this far. There's no way he's been around you and hasn't gotten sick.
He smiles and he says, "You're thinking exactly what I did. But good luck trying to figure out where he's keeping it, or how. Even if you get the antidote anyway, how are you going to replicate it? And say you manage to burn down this entire town. Say you kill yourself in the process, but at least you sacrificed yourself for king and country, right? What does that do? All it tells them is they got to be more careful when they do this the next time. You send a bunch of people over and take out this place. All they have to do is rebuild it somewhere else. The truth is, I don't know what to do to get this antidote from him, and even if I did, I don't know how to save myself or any of you. Because as sure as I'm here, you at least are infected, and probably the rest of the people who are with you by now also. There is an antidote, there's gotta be, because Pasek wouldn't do this to himself, I agree. But how are you going to replicate it enough that you can actually do something before the plan goes into place? They send the carriers across, and you're looking at a pandemic. Millions and millions dead, and no one knows why.
Well, Jonas, that's the great thing. And I hate to say this, kid, and it's by no means a slight on yourself, but you're by yourself. You were. I'm not. I don't have to make all these decisions. I've got friends that can help. So.
And he kind of shivers a little bit and he says, "I don't know. I've been used to working on my own. I don't know what kind of a team you have, but it better be the best goddamn team headquarters has ever produced. Because if it isn't, none of us are getting out of here alive. And the States ain't gonna survive either. At least not the way that we know it."
I got you, Jonas. Now, here's the $10,000 question. I'm already infected. We just played ball. I would like your gun now, if you wouldn't mind.
And he sort of says, "Why?"
Because I don't have one.
And he kind of tilts his head and he says, "All right. It's not like it's going to be much use to me anyway." And he hands it over to you, and as he does so, you can see his hand is shaking. Again, a little worse. I don't want to overdo it and say that he's about to fall over, but you can definitely see that, he's not right, as I've said all along. He hands you the gun.
When he hands him over, he takes the gun and puts it quickly, the speed of a 3-card Monte street hustler, of which Benjamin Voss formerly was. And as he takes it and spins it and puts it in his waistband, he reaches out and grabs the man's hand in his, squeezes his palm to palm, flesh to flesh, looking him right in the eye and says, "You're not alone anymore, Jonas. We're all in this together."
And you see Jonas kind of blink several times, and then it could be maybe a tear, or it could be maybe just him kind of the dampness of his eyes because of the, his sinuses or whatever. And he's like, "All right, I gotta go back to pretending I'm one of them. So do you. Listen, whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna have to do it pretty soon. I don't know what's happening, but there's been people coming in at a huge rate the last 24 hours or so. If I had to guess, they're getting ready to put these people all together. They've been training them for a while, but now I think they're moving forward. Only thing I can tell you is that Pasek, well, he's arrogant, He believes he knows more than everybody else. If you can play off that angle, off of his arrogance, off of his ability to, his belief that no one's ever been able to beat him at his own game, maybe that'll give you an angle."
Just like baseball.
And he nods. He says, "Don't strike out then." And he pats you on the shoulder, and he kind of like turns around and kind of he walks off again, trying to hold his head up high, you know, sort of his stance erect, whatever, as he's walking forward. But you can see again that like still his body is kind of trembling a little bit as he walks off. Okay, now I'm going to leave it up to the four of you to decide where you're all going to meet, unless you want to all keep split or if you want to kind of reconvene. You have the dormitory, remember, where you folks are staying. Technically in different rooms, by the way, but where you folks are staying, if you wish. It's up to you, though.
I'd say dormitory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the least conspicuous place.
Okay. Quick note that we got about 10 minutes or so before another plot point comes due, and you have 3 left. Okay. So you go up to the dorm. All meet each other. You can, Benjamin, you can see that Stasi has got her hair in this beehive style, which is very.
If we're all in one room, I am showering. I'm washing it out of my hair.
As they walk in, I go, "Does it, Stasi, look nice?"
Nope.
Okay.
The
So
door
she's
is open so I can hear, but I'm washing it out.
Got
Get
it.
Off me.
And then you also see Damien looking a little bit shaken. Vivian looks annoyed. Benjamin looks thoughtful, I think might be a good way to put it. So the floor is yours, guys.
Did you know they're gonna make me dance?
Someone pulled a gun on me.
I'm probably infected.
What?
What? I'm sorry.
mean-
Infected with the Americanism or what?
Pop out when I hear Ben say that.
Yes,
That's
it's
not-
exactly
that's
what it
not-
is. It's patriotism. I can't
Yeah,
keep it.
you've been affected by the patriotism.
That's not real.
Is Ben making a joke? I don't understand them all the time, Ben.
Just keep washing your hair. There's still a little.
No, it's out. It's out. I'll keep the water running in case anyone's listening. No.
I will recap everything for them.
Okay.
Bobby is Joan. I've got a gun. I'm probably sick. We played baseball.
So
Damn it.
you're sick. Are we sick?
Probably because Bobby is. Jonas is. Before we started talking about all of this, I would have my man Damien sweep the room for any type of bugs.
That's why I have the shower still running just for some white noise.
Damien, I'm going to have you make a check for me here. This is not really a risk, but a check. This, however, is a tech check. This is definitely up your alley, so you can roll your 5.
And aren't we coming close to a point?
You have about 8 minutes or so.
Oh,
It's up to
okay.
you
That's
if you
longer
want.
than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
13?
Okay, so with the 13, that means you can tell me mostly what you look for, but I will veto something. So how are you searching? Like what sorts of ways are you searching, etc.?
So I don't think I have any. I don't think I could have snuck anything in, but I will be looking in the obvious places, like in the cracks of the walls, if there's like, you know, a panel on the runner board, or in the lamps, under the lamps, in the light bulb where the light connects to the lamp, that kind of thing. Like in the plug, the outlet plugs.
I will say
Also,
that.
Mike,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that would have been a 5d6 if he's doing his fixer stuff, right?
Yeah, you should be doing more than 4. You should be doing 5.
Oh yeah.
Is that how numbers work?
Yep.
Oh shit.
I mean, unless I'm wrong and you're a secret grifter and you're not telling
Hold
me.
on. Hold
So
on.
just add a d6 to that 13.
Ah.
18. Okay. So yeah. So that's thank you for the correction there, Ben. Greg. So yes, that is actually fine. So now you actually can tell me that you search all that stuff. You do that. You're pretty confident that unless, I mean, basically if you haven't been able to find it by now, it's just beyond your ability to find. But you're pretty confident that you've searched this place down as far as it can be searched.
Unless he's better than me, and come on. Man.
And like, look, I mean, right.
Right. You're not here for no reason.
He's not Ellis,
Yeah.
is he? Hey-oh! No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Oh.
You guys went to school. It's that rivalry thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to get Pasek to tell us where the antidote is.
Yeah, we're gonna need that. We're gonna need to get down into the theater. We have to figure out how we're gonna take all these people out without spreading a pandemic, and we need to figure out how we're gonna kind of do this without them simply trying again and getting it right. We need to identify every place that doesn't seem to be public. You know, the theater's boarded up. Obviously, it's a front for the lab. We've got that house at the end of the block, serves no purpose. They're not building a house at the end of the block that serves no purpose. We need to check there. I doubt Pasek would leave it directly in his little meeting area because so many people are in and out of there. Possible. But we need the antidote. We need to shut down the lab, and we need to shut down these people.
Okay. I got a gun pulled on me today. That was terrifying.
Oh, yep.
Oh,
It happens.
But I did go to the store, and if I keep going to the store, it'll look very obvious. But if you guys go to the store, they were very excited about your American money, and then you can buy me these things. And he dumps like a pouch, like a big pouch full of trinkets out.
Oh.
I can use this to make other stuff.
And there's like a yo-yo and like
Yeah.
a wind-up bird and like you know, like one of those, you know, one of those things that you put the penny on it and then like the hand comes out and like takes the penny and pulls it back into the bank, like one of these things. Like
It's a veritable MacGyver gold.
it is like you know, wall drug 1950s super junkie, you know, but very Americana though.
Have we received our assignments, like where we would be sent when this is all done? Do we know that now? We do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're the go-go dancer.
Right, but I mean, outside of this place, like when they send us out to the world, we know the location.
Yeah.
You know the basic ones, yes. Like for example, you know that Damien's Edward is supposed to be going as a fry guy to Coney Island.
Okay.
You know
I'm
that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm Wrigley Field. I'm a
Right.
concession.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, concession worker, okay.
Gloria, you're going to be a dancer at Tiger A Go-Go in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's why I had that written down on my
Yep.
notes. I had this note and I was like, the hell does that mean?
Yep. And
Retail clerk in Los Angeles.
yes.
Correct. Okay. So if we know where we're going, everybody else knows too where they're going.
Yeah.
And they're just using us as cattle, as a carrier. Don't you think quite a few people here might want to know that?
Oh, I took everyone's picture.
I'm sorry. You took my picture.
No, not yours. I already know what you look like.
Oh.
I took everyone else's picture.
Oh.
That's good. We could get that out.
My glasses are a camera.
Oh my. Okay. I'm saying.
Even Peterson.
So we know that he's not going to infect himself. So there has to be an antidote somewhere. Did this informant tell you anything else, Benjamin?
He's sick. He doesn't have long. At least he doesn't have long before he shows that he's sick. Then they'll know he's been down there. He's not been where he's supposed to be. You know, it is Jonas. It's the guy that went off the grid. He knows too much about what happened. Either that or he tortured the real Jonas and took the information. I doubt he would infect himself to do so. So I think it was a safe risk to give him some information. But we need to get down there. We need how to figure it out. We gotta reverse engineer this too, as the kid would, and he points to Damien. The kid here is building his stuff. We've got to kind of build this backwards. If these people leave this town, what's the chances that we're going to be able to stop them from getting anywhere where they start to infect people?
We won't.
You know,
we have to keep
right.
it contained. There's a gathering this evening, yes?
Well, I mean, if you had an antidote and you locked up the disease, wouldn't you lock up the antidote in a similar place?
One would think. But the antidote at this point would be significantly more valuable.
Right. But you said that other people had the key, right? Which means it has to be a modern lock, which means it can be picked pretty easily.
Oh. So you say we just sneak in? I imagine he has got to have multiple barriers in place to simply entering. And
I have an idea.
Benjamin,
Now-
you always have an idea.
Or 4. They're all
I've got-
really good.
I've got an idea, but this is not necessarily, this is veto worthy because I haven't thought it through.
Oh,
So Pasek is living here among a disease that he does not get, but it can't be that he is immune to it. It has to be that he is probably taking a series of shots. My guess, if it's something that can be cured with an inoculation, it's not a good disease to send over to America. If that's the case, then our good buddy Bobby Jonas, to all of us here, he's going to show in the next 12, 24 hours. I say that we show him a little early. If we can get Pasek and Bobby in the same room, make Pasek very aware that Bobby is sick, Pasek's going to tell us where that antidote is, because in all likelihood, and I didn't tell Bobby or Jonas this, he's probably past the point of being able to use an antidote. But as soon as he's exposed to it, much like as I've been exposed to it, Pasek's going to want to take that shot as quick as he can. We'll see just how red he is when he's faced with his own mortality. But that's as far as I got. As far as the theater goes, I can get in there. I'm already infected, so the hell with it.
I'm more concerned about blowing our cover.
Hold on. It's my first time doing this. So you said there's a gathering, you said that guy's infected, and you're infected because you're pretty sure that he infected you. What if we just get all of those things together, including Peterson, and infect everyone? Here.
Damien read my mind.
Brings out all the antidotes.
You would have to. If we were all infected too early for the plan, it would kind of mess everything up. My thought was, in fact, we have two options. If we find the antidote in advance, and we can figure out a way to disseminate it through liquid, we may be able to simply spike everyone's drinks without them knowing, or we can use the fact that they believe they are fighting for Mother Russia, and Mother Russia plans to annihilate them.
Or we could do what I think is the Stasi plan, which is infect everybody, cure us, and leave.
No, that's actually not my plan, Damien.
I thought I had.
Actually, no. Something that might prevent them from trying it again is, I kind of like what, well, sure. I like what Vivian is saying about wouldn't the ideal thing be that nobody really suspects anything is wrong? I mean, I don't know how we take out a whole town. I mean, well, there are ways. There are ways. But wouldn't it be better if everybody was unsuspecting for as long as possible and we just deal with Pasek as opposed to dealing with a town?
What if we let them get infected, but not with what they think they're getting infected with? If we let them get infected, if we replace the virus that they're going to take with something benign or something that has been muted by the antidote being introduced to these petri dishes that Bobby's talking about, they go about their business. They infect all of them. They send them out. It doesn't work. Time for a new plan.
We could, in fact, infect them with the antidote.
And I have pictures of all their faces.
Mm-hmm.
If we could also get a list of their assignments, we could, in fact, pass this along to headquarters. They could get a start on collecting them as they disseminate back into American society.
It all comes back to we need to get the antidote.
Without a doubt. The question is where. This Pasek, we have not seen him yet, correct?
Oh,
we
no,
met him.
Yeah, he's been very friendly.
We did meet him. We did meet him, that's right.
He smiles a lot.
Do you think he seems like the kind of man who has vices?
Yes.
Which one of us do you like the most? It certainly wasn't me.
I mean, everyone likes Vivian the most.
Thank you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Does she know that it's not like the tool vice?
What? Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, that was rude.
Standing right here.
It was a curiosity that I had. I wasn't sure.
Then you ask me, Damien.
To crush things a lot. I assumed.
I'm going to crush Pasek. Don't like
Yes, we will crush the Pasek. Okay, so this gathering's happening this evening. We should attend, gain a head count. assure that your sickly friend does not infect anyone else, if the goal is to not spread it too quickly. And I will dance my way into Pasik's private quarters.
I'm glad that's where you went with that. But
Uh-huh. Yes. Please, yes.
Benjamin, where do you think I was going with? I am a classy
I didn't know.
lady.
I'm going the same
Oh,
place as
I got it.
Benjamin. I'm
I
usually
also
going
was-
there. Mhm.
Damien. I mean,
I can teach you some moves.
I don't know who you're asking that to. Are you teaching her
No.
moves, or are you teaching me moves?
I mean, you need a lot of help, but we'll have to wait till we get home for that. Vivian is a quick learner.
Okay.
I'll teach you some proper dance moves for the scene, because I don't think it's what you're expecting.
Okay,
So-
kids, we're going to need to figure out if Vivian's going to get Pasek. I'll get the kid. We're going to bring them together and force an infection,
Mm-hmm.
reveal the location of the antidote.
Mm-hmm.
I replace, provided we have enough, I replace the disease with the antidote. They will be inoculated and sent
Yep.
to America.
Yes.
And okay, and then there's still that house at the end of the street. I think that's got something to do with the antidote. That's
Do
speculation.
you
on my
want me to go look by myself? I don't have a lot to do.
don't get caught. My hope is that I can simply finagle the truth out of him, what's behind said house.
What if I go look at the house
No.
and then Stassi punches anyone who tries to stop me?
Oh, sure. Okay, I like this plan.
Well,
I'm sneaky, but
I'm pretty
so are
sweet.
you making me attend this party alone?
no. So, Stasi, you pick. Do you want the kid or do you want me? Whoever you don't pick goes to the party with
I
Vivian
go
to
with
pick up the sick
Vivian.
guy.
I go with Vivian.
No. We need you at the place where there
Oh.
could be the bum.
Oh,
So, you know,
okay.
I don't bum.
No.
I get a lot whenever
Yes.
we do that. I get hit a lot.
Yeah.
So you have to go. Do you want the kid to go with you? Do you want me to go with you? Whoever you don't wish to have with you is going to go with Vivian to get the sick Bobby. Does that make any sense?
Yes,
I'm
no, I followed it very well.
I actually think I'm a smidge confused. No, I'm just kidding.
Who's on first?
I mean, it's not really up to me. I guess either of you would be perfectly good at spotting an antidote. You can.
I
get
will
this place,
say, Benjamin, you will look significantly better on my arm. No offense, Damien.
No, thank God you said it.
I can feel you holding your breath.
Yeah.
It's fine. Can you dance, Benjamin?
I've been known to be able to dance.
It's not
thank
that
God.
kind of dance, Vivi.
I can't dance either of those dances.
Well, Damien, you are going to dance yourself right into that house. You can pick your way in. Stasi will go with you, keep you safe, make sure nobody puts a gun to your back.
I'm getting a lot of mixed signals as to
No, you're coming with me, little one.
Okay.
Oh, hey, by the way, Stasi,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulled the gun from out of his waistband. This has probably got sick on it, but chances are we're all sick anyway, and he flips it to her.
She bear hugs him anyway because she was gonna before she left. Just in case, we might as well go down together.
Just a great sharing of germs.
Yep.
It's a very elaborate chickenpox party.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. As I understand it, Damien and Stasi. So wait, because there was multiple versions of this. So Benjamin and Vivian are going to be together dancing at this discotheque, whatever it is that they're going to. But the idea at some point is for Vivian to be trying to get information from Pasek by basically dancing
Sure, we
into his
can
heart,
call it
so to
getting
speak.
information.
Yeah.
We can call it whatever we like.
And then, meanwhile, Stasi and Damien are going into what house? I wanna
The
make-
boarded up
boarded
one.
up
the boarded up one, right? Okay. Okay. Not the theater, but the house, because you know about the theater already. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, with that said, and we've got about 1 minute on this mission point, and I do want to say, just sort of as a general rule, if you lose a mission point, obviously you want to use them when you can, but you know, you guys were also doing a good job coming up with a good plan. So, you know, if you miss out on a mission point, I don't, that's not a disaster. You know, if the exchange for it was that you made a good plan. So I'm just letting you know, if you don't get a chance to use this, don't be like, all right, I jump out the window, survive, so I can use a mission point. Like, you don't need to do that. So, okay, it sounds cool, but it's not, not that kind of spy thing. All right, let me start then with, let's have Benjamin and Vivian. Let's start with them. And let's pull up this guitar. This Americana guitar music is nice, but that's not what we want for this. I was, as you folks were talking, trying to come up with appropriate music. So let me see if this will work.
I teach Vivian some dance moves before she goes.
Russian dance moves.
Yes, that's what we'll call them.
How
Yep.
about this?
Russian.
Oh, perfect.
Dance moves.
Dance moves.
Yeah, no, yeah, you know what it is.
All right. So, so as you get into this, discotheque, you hear what again, and I have to say this music again, as you're listening to it, seems like sort of if America was put on 11 and then fed a little nightmare fuel, like it is technically American, but oh my God, is it over the top. In terms of what you know of it, but it seems to be active. There's some lava lamp action going on around the outside. You've got a lot of people, a lot of couples that are dancing. You do not see Bobby there, and you don't see Peterson, but you do actually see Flo, who is dancing with some unknown man there. You also see Doc, who's kind of sitting in a chair, grinning, kind of looking around at everyone and smiling at them. Either seems like he's a little bit drunk or is faking it. And as you show up, you don't see Peterson yet, Vivian and Benjamin, as you first enter the place. But the place is definitely hopping, if you will. What do you folks want to do? Jeez. Nice line. Exactly.
Okay, but you said we haven't seen Pasek.
Have not seen Pasek yet.
Is this a very, like, cultish type scenario where there's, like, clearly a place at a table somewhere he's supposed to sit at?
That's not clear when you first get in. There are definitely some empty tables. Doc is sitting by himself at the moment, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. As I said, you don't see Bobby there. You're not sure. It may just be that he's just not there yet. That's possible, too.
He just has it. He's going to be fashionable.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, you guys just arrived, so.
Full disclosure, Arv, every time you say Doc, I see and hear Christopher Lloyd.
Just 5,500 gigawatts! Oh my God, Marty, yeah.
I swear, Marty, what are we going to do?
Far be it from me to be the great Christopher Lloyd. I'm thinking more the classic Americana Doc. But yes, I will. If at some point I start going da 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 da, you know, you've just got 80s on the brain. Marty, my God. All right, anyway. Every time you say that, I think about Christopher Lloyd as the Klingon in Star Trek 3. Just get out of there! Get out! Sorry, anyway. One of my favorite scenes of any Star Trek movie ever. Anyway, so you two are there. Are you going to start dancing, or are you just going to look around? What are you doing?
Nobody's like, they're not like eyeballing us. It's not like everybody's just doing their thing.
They're just all doing their thing. Mostly dancing. A couple of people sitting at tables. If you were walking into it, you'd be like, this is a rather over-the-top Americana dance thing.
Now, aren't you glad you're not picking locks at an abandoned house?
Oh, yes, I'm terrible at that. I would say that if this man is not here yet, my love, we should give him something that no one can not look at.
Oh.
And he indicates the floor.
She says, yeah, dance moves. She says, please.
Okay, now, I'm not going to make you do checks and tests for this, but I am curious. Specify, are the two of you trying to call attention to yourself through the quality of your dance? Or are you kind of...
I would say that, if nothing else, Vivian's trying to just draw attention to herself.
Okay. How?
That's a good question. If I were a Vivian, well, you know, she's gonna let Benjamin lead up to a certain point. Are we talking like, is it swing music playing? Is this more of like...
This is swing, although there is some occasional 60 more like psychedelic stuff popping in,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
more, but it's really more like this. It feels more like swing, which is another reason that I said it feels over the top. This is slightly dated, like this music you would expect it, not way dated, but a little dated. It was like what I was describing in the Jersey Shore, where I felt like everything was from my college years. Like it was a little like that, you know. It's not way off, but so.
But it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say she's gonna let him lead up to a point. But there are ways to draw attention to yourself: flipping your hair, laughing too loud, making eyes at the guy across from you versus your partner.
Gotcha. Okay, you do that. And at a certain point, you notice that as you're sort of dancing around, are either of you looking just for Pasek, by the way, or as you're doing this, or are you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'm looking for him.
So at one point, Ben sort of half spins you around. You half spin away from him yourself. It depends on, you know, who thinks they did the job there. And you spin around to see Pasek actually walking through the doors. He has a big smile on his face, and he's got sort of the it almost looks like it's not a wide lapel 70s shirt because that wouldn't be accurate, but it's a shirt that's kind of slightly kind of very starched and looks kind of like, you know, almost like sock hop ready, maybe, which again is not quite the right time period, close,
right.
But and so he walks in, big smile on his face. Some people come over to him, clap him on the back. You can see that he's sort of talking to them, and then he looks down at the two of you. Are you doing anything different now once he looks down at you?
Yeah, so he like spins me out. I see this happen, and as Vivian twirls back in and like wraps herself around Benjamin, she says, "He's here. Do me a favor and dip me with my cleavage facing his direction."
Right.
Yeah. And she just like right into that, so that since he's looking at them, he has absolutely no choice but to stare straight down her dress.
This seems to have the desired effect in that he seems to be rather focused on you, Vivian, or he's just really interested in that central spot on the floor. But it seems more likely that he's interested in you. He sort of looks at you. At one point, you see that he grabs what looks like a can of something, maybe it's beer, and sort of drinks it and looks down. He sort of holds it maybe slightly awkwardly, but not entirely, and then he kind of puts it down on the table and makes his way down the stairs where he's been standing. He's been kind of, so the floor is down below, and the door leads into this set of stairs that go down, so you can kind of, you know, hold onto the railing and look over at the people dancing, and then he walks down the stairs, clearly heading in your direction.
As Benjamin pulls me back up, I look at him and I say, "Laugh like I said something really funny."
And he comes up, "Well, I'm glad," and he sort of speaks louder to kind of be heard over the music. "Well, I'm glad to hear you're all having such a good time. Seems you've really gotten into the swing of things, if you know what I mean."
It's just so funny.
Yes. You're looking very lovely, Gloria. I appreciate the dancing that you're doing. It seems you've been practicing.
Well, I have a job to do.
Yes. And is that job, have you received all the training that you need?
Great thing about Gloria Cabot is that she came with all the training she needed.
Says, "Well, really? I suppose that doesn't leave me or Charles here much to do. Charles, I suppose it must be difficult for you to be with a woman who's already self-made and ready to go. Very American of her, don't you think?"
Self-made and ready to go. No. I prefer my wife to be at home, making babies in the kitchen. You know, I'm gonna go out to Wrigley Field and I'm working a hard day. I'm gonna need to have a cold beer waiting for me, and I'm gonna need to have it on the table when I walk in, my friend.
And he smiles and he says, yes. I think you've understood a big part of American culture, but I wonder if you would be accepting of something like that, Gloria. It seems to me you're not used to letting the man lead."
Oh, I can easily let the men lead. In fact, I'm feeling a bit parched myself. Would you mind?
And he sort of tilts his head and he says, "Certainly." And he kind of holds out his arm for you to, put your arm through if you wish.
Well, thank you.
Don't mind if I cut into you, Charles.
Not at all. My wife's waiting for me back home.
You're so funny.
And he says, "Yes, of course." And then he sort of leads you up the stairs, and he says, "We have, of course, drinks over by the bar, but there's probably a more enjoyable vintage in my private collection. Depends on whether you need the proof or not."
I have only heard of this American whiskey they speak of.
He says, "Yes, one of the few things I like about this bankrupt culture, but it's worth it. Has its positive effects, I suppose."
Well, that sounds tasty.
And he
It
says,
wouldn't trouble you to pour a girl a drink?
He says, "I'd be happy to." And he kind of nods, and he goes over to where Doc has been sitting and whispers something in his ear. And Doc sort of smiles and kind of lifts his glass as if he's like, "Oh, sounds good," and goes back to this.
Put a sock on the door.
Whatever you say. And goes, and then Pasek comes back over to you again, holds out his arm, and says, "After you, Miss Cabot." And sort of gestures outwards and holds the door open for you, of course.
Oh, I saunter through.
Okay.
All but like brisking past him. Yeah.
Benjamin, what are you doing while this is happening, by the way, while she's leaving?
He's gonna go ahead and just. She is off doing her thing. He's gonna look. He's gonna look for Bobby. He's gonna try not to touch. He's gonna. I mean, these people are obviously probably already infected just because of Bobby's proximity, but he's going to just kind of skirt the area and look for Bobby. If he does not see him, he is going to duck out and try to tail Vivian and Pasek to make sure that they don't, she can handle herself, but there might be 7 people in this special place he's taking her. So
okay, we will as he leaves, and you do not see Bobby as you circle several times, and so as you walk up the stairs, kind of casually making your way, make outside, and you can see that he is actually leading Vivian across the street to where he gave you the briefing, basically his house, in quotes, that's right across the way. As they enter, I'm going to jump over to Stasi and Damien, and I'm going to shut off our dance music for just a minute.
I mean, it's fine,
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but... All right, there we go. Meanwhile, this pleasant music, double boot dagger him. Oh my God! All right, so Stasi and Damien, you are making your way to this boarded up house, basically, and the boarded up house is actually right next to it's actually right next to the discotheque. So you've got the discotheque where they are, and then a couple of, like, basically one house down is this place that's boarded up. And it does look very sort of odd and sort of positioned in an odd way. And as you go up to it, what do you want to do with it? Because the door clearly is locked, and the windows are sort of boarded up. The whole thing screams, "Don't come in here."
Are they sort of boarded up, or are they boarded up? Like, can I see through cracks and try to make out
No,
outlines of
completely
things?
boarded up.
Okay.
I was just going to pull the door open.
Well, you can certainly do that if you want. I'll have to have you take a risk, but you can certainly do that.
Okay. Does that sound good to you, Damien?
Sure.
Okay.
20.
Wow. Man, you guys have... It has been a long time since you've missed a roll. You guys have been dominating.
It
All
is
right.
silent.
I think it would be one of those things, though, where it's like, man, this door lock looks like it would be complicated.
I don't know how to... Yeah, so you... you rip the thing practically off its hinges.
Silently.
Yeah, silently, yes. You like... and open it. layer of what seems like dust maybe kind of flies up in your face, but it almost feels a little bit to you, Stasi, like, how do I put this? Sort of like if you were going into a boarded up house, you'd be like, no one's been in here for a long time because look at all the dust.
That's how I would sound when I said it too.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel right. It feels too obvious, too much, like almost as if someone just put a bunch of dust here, just like so that someone would be like, oh, hey, wait, something that seems off about this. But in any case, it leads to what seems like the first floor. You seem to be in what looks like a kind of a dining room. There's what looks like a table and chairs, but they all seem to be covered over with some kind of heavy cloth. Obviously, the inside is dark, by the way. So. And there are exits out of this place as well, exits out of the dining room, but...
Okay. So, like, Damien, I make sure I close the door behind us.
Yeah. Would it be safe to assume that Damien has some kind of flashlight or bought one at the Five and Dime?
I would say so, absolutely.
Okay.
You turn it on, and actually it says it's actually a vintage Superman flashlight. So
Yes,
it's actually
perfect.
red. It's got like a blue body, and then there's a red sort of top to it. And the part that you click is like Superman's cape. It's very cool.
Dope.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, and he makes sure to like cover the actual light source and kind of like let it pass through his fingers so that it is muted as much as possible.
So you can see not the cloth that I mentioned, and you can see these sort of exits. You notice also that there is what looks like a set of stairs leading upwards, and then there might be, although you'd have to go around the back of it to see, a set of stairs leading downwards as well. But you'd need to go around to see that.
I'd want to be trying to find a basement since we know that there's a basement in the theater.
Okay. So as you go around and you kind of creep through this place, and I should ask that, by the way, are you guys trying to be very quiet as you go through here? I'm guessing,
Yeah.
but all right.
Yeah.
So you do this. The boards of the floor kind of creak alarmingly under your feet, and the whole place seems very troubling to you. The light through your fingers, Damien, casts these wild shadows off of the covered places. There's lots of covered chairs and tables, and as you were coming around, the dining room leads into a kitchen where the counters all seem to be covered over with cloth as well. And then as you leave the kitchen to go where the back is, you you go through the door, and suddenly you're confronted by a person who's standing right in front of you, like right next to you, and then you're like, oh Jesus, no, it's like a mannequin of some kind. There's like a covered over mannequin that's right by a staircase that leads downwards. It's a weird place to put a mannequin too, but that's what it looks like. It's standing up and it has a cloth over it.
Two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, put your hand down. Two, I just realized if other people also come in here sometimes, do you think they'll notice all of our footprints?
Do you want to cover those up?
I don't know how to cover them up. It's dust,
No,
I
move
don't-
other dust around.
I guess. We'll look for like a.
Yeah, we'll find
We'll look for something.
room.
Find
Okay.
more dust. There is a broom, which you
Great.
can, yeah.
And kind of sweep up behind me.
Okay. These
Perfect.
clouds of dust come up behind you.
Yeah. We just wave it around, so it just makes the dust fly around.
Yeah, the dust is a little like you can see the dust, the motes of dust floating down past your flashlight
Just
beam.
showered. This is terrible.
Yep, it's everywhere.
Okay,
There's a limit on showers.
keep going.
All right.
Okay.
Take up the rear.
All right. The staircase leads downwards, and there is a door at the bottom of it, of these stairs. Leads down what looks like one flight to what looks like a basement. You would guess, Ozzy. Door is closed.
Mm-hmm. Does anything about it look newer or like it's been disturbed more recently than anything else?
Yes, you think that the door has been opened fairly regularly because there's not the same clouds of dust that you saw on the floor above you.
Do you want to try this one, or do you want me to do it?
Is there a keyhole or
No,
no? Okay. I mean,
you don't know if it's locked, but it does not have a keyhole.
okay. I mean, if you would like to try. You're very welcome today, man. She smiles.
Once he gets up there to see, he looks back. Because I expected a keyhole. I don't know how to.
Okay.
My bad.
Ugh, I'm just worried something's going to pop out at me like a haunted house. Just okay.
It's a weird fear to have right now.
Okay, I'm going to open it up and then leap back.
Okay.
I don't like this door.
I'm just gonna get out of her way entirely.
I was just gonna say.
Like, I'm on the stairs.
She leaps.
Jump like
She leaps
10
back. Like,
feet.
ah!
I'm doing that like the kid who doesn't know how to help his dad in the car. I'm just holding the flashlight real high so that she can for sure see.
When she opens the door and leaps back, you feel this rush of cool air kind of coming out of the basement that you've just opened quite clearly. And you see several flashes as your flashlight, moves around, Damien. You see several flashes of white, like it's reflecting off something. Not shiny, but like white. But you don't know what, because you'd have to actually get in there. Nothing jumps out at you, though, Stasi.
Oh, God, good. I hate haunted houses so much. Okay, come on, Damien.
Okay. And he slowly prods his way down the stairs towards her.
Okay.
Stay close for warmth and also so you don't die.
So there is basically, as you go in here, there is one passageway that seems to lead out of the basement, but on the walls of the basement are these large shelves, and there is these wrapped up things, long wrapped up things, you don't know what they are, that are sitting, or lying, I should say, on the shelves.
How long?
I was gonna say, when you say long,
Several feet.
like
Oh.
Between
5, 6?
5 and 6 feet, most of them.
Yeah. Roughly body shaped.
You can't tell because they're wrapped pretty heavily. Could be just carpets.
Okay, sure.
I don't think you need a cold storage for carpets.
Well, no, I don't want to overdo the cold. It's not freezing, but
Okay,
but it
Damien,
is
why
cool.
don't you look at something. You look at the wrapped things. I'll look for something else. This is too much like a haunted house. I don't like it.
Listen,
What?
we'll make a deal. I won't tell anyone that you're terrified of haunted houses.
You better not.
And if I make an effeminate noise, I need you to not tell anyone else either.
Why? You would then be womanly and it would be very good.
Nope.
Yup.
Not in America. It's not.
Well, America sucks.
Well, all right. And he walks over. He walks over, flashlight like shaking, and he starts to like.
Considering my allegiance.
He's like poking.
Screw this. I like this town. Yeah.
It's fine here. Oh, America's great. Yeah, he's like shaking, holding his flashlight, and he like pokes the long object several times to see if it reacts.
It does not react.
And then he tries to like lift it and see if there's like a way to unspool this thing.
So when you try to lift it, it lifts up incredibly lightly. Like it's like you pick up like something made like there's like no weight, practically no weight to it at all. There is something definitely inside.
Yeah, I think he like puts the flashlight in a way that will shine on this thing, and then two hands and begins to unravel whatever.
I can hold the flashlight.
Oh, I assumed you were just in the middle of the room ready to punch whatever jumped out at you.
Oh, I used
So-
the flashlight.
You were just circling the room.
So you unwrap, and then you open the top wrap, and you see what looks like a leering painted face. It's obviously a face that's sort of semi-meant to be human, maybe, but there's no way it would ever have fooled anybody unless maybe you were looking at it from a distance. But it looks like basically this face that's clearly been painted onto some kind of styrofoam or maybe balsa wood, like some kind of light substance. Definitely not a human body, but this is definitely meant to look like the shape of a human body anyway.
I'm more confused.
What were they practicing on these things? I mean, it's styrofoam. Do you want to open one up?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he like goes to like. So what is it? Just a face, or is there an actual like?
The face is the part that you unwrapped. Like the body is still below
Oh yeah.
it. Like you
Okay,
just,
yeah. Then he's gonna keep unwrapping to see
Okay.
what else is in this thing.
When you unwrap the center of it, there's a very strong smell. I don't know whether you've ever had the unfortunate experience of having to dissect anything in 9th grade biology,
I have.
as I did. But formaldehyde was a thing, and there's this sort of strong smell of that. But it is still what looks like foam or balsa wood, but there is this strange substance that has been kind of smeared over it. You don't really know what. It's like on top of the foam, but inside the wrapping. So it's as if someone smeared this on this thing and then wrapped it up and stored it here.
Weird. Stassi, I don't know what this is.
I'm going to look around if there are any like shelves or anything. I'm looking for paperwork in Russian or in English.
You don't see any paperwork that you've been able to find. The only thing that you notice here, as I think I mentioned before, but I want to mention again, is this passageway that leads out here, that leads straight. And Stasi, as you're looking down it, you see that the air is noticeably different down that passageway. No dust, and you can't tell for sure because you don't, the light you have with you is kind of, it's a Superman flashlight, but at the end of the hallway, this passageway, there seems to be another door. And you think, although you're not 100% sure, that your light is glinting off the doorway at the other end of the hall, which is not likely to be wood, unless wood glints suddenly.
You said there were several things that glinted off of in this room?
Correct. It was not glinting. She noticed glinting. You noticed reflecting, like reflecting off the white wrap, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
And there are more of those things on the shelves, by the way. This is only one of them. There's probably a good 20 or 25 of these, if you had to guess, like on shelves all around the room.
Yeah.
I'm curious, so I'm gonna feel free to have me roll for it, Greg. But I'm going to have to say I have a Bic lighter that I've emptied the fluid out of to remove the spring from.
Okay.
And I just want to use that as a vial to scoop up whatever this goop is, and then reattach the actual lighter part of this thing.
Okay.
So that I can take it with me.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna wrap this thing back up.
Okay.
Best I can.
Yep. I'll buy that.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay. You got about 10 minutes before another mission point comes due, so everybody knows. When you get to the door, and I will jump back to Vivian and Benjamin in just a second. When you guys get to the end of the hallway and you get to that door, you notice that the reason that the light was glinting is because this is very clearly a metal door with a metal doorknob, and this does have what looks like a keyhole and a fairly impressive-looking lock. And so as the two of you are looking at this impressive-looking lock and thinking about what to do with it, I'm going to jump back over here to Benjamin and to Vivian. Vivian, I will start with you. So Pasek / Peterson brings you into his room, and as you go into the room, you notice that sounds like people are talking inside his room at first, but then when you go closer in, you can hear that's because the radio is on, and you hear what sounds like a sports broadcast. Bill Webster hit his 35th home run today for the Dodgers one of these deals as they're going through, and Pasek goes over to the radio and shuts it off and says, stupid game. I can't understand why it's so popular. And
I know. Americans. Just terrible taste.
he says, yes, but you see, I must know about everything American. The success of this entire project depends upon it. I have no time for anything else. And he walks over to this, what looks like basically you were in this room once before when he was giving you the briefing, but basically this thing behind him, he opens up and it's got this very nice looking wine selection and, whiskey. So he pulls up this tray and it's got several bottles, and on it is this sort of amber liquid in a bottle with several glasses. And he pours it and says, no time for anything else. It's almost enough to make me forget why we do any of this.
Vivian walks up behind him while he's pouring things, and she runs her hands up from under his arms, up his chest. I know, Lauren. I know. And she says, "Are you always working?"
And he says, "You've made, behind you, sort of, puts his head back to kind of feel your hands running through him, and he says, "You've made a mistake, Miss Cabot. American women are seldom so straightforward. They pretend to be coy and reserved. Rarely do they come right out and ask a man such a question."
Well, it's a good thing in the private of your room. I don't have to be American.
And he says, "Well, Americans aren't as frank about such things as we are, comrade." And he sort of turns around to you and says, "I think you can be yourself here." And he says, "But I'm a little surprised. It's not usual for someone to get this involved this quickly. And I do have, as you said, my work to think of." And he kind of gently pushes you away just a little bit and holds over the glass to you, like hands you the glass.
Okay. Vivian takes her glass and she says, "I understand. I just thought tonight was celebratory. You do work so hard. The least you could do is treat yourself."
And he says, yes, I suppose it's difficult, but, we're so close now." And he kind of takes the whiskey and holds it up. And then now this is not a shot glass, but he kind of drinks it fairly fast, you know. What do you do? Do you follow suit?
Okay. Nearby, is there like a plant I can dump this drink in, or somewhere that I can like put it where it doesn't have to go?
Not obviously, ma'am.
All right. Not obviously.
Like, look, a snake, throw it like on the ground. I mean, like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
over the
but
shoulder.
there's no cool way to do that. Not at the moment.
Well, Vivian's a lady. She's gonna sip the shit out of that. She watches him like swig his down. She puts it to her lips like she drinks, but she's not actually going to drink.
Okay. And he actually, he sort of lowers his glass and he says, "That's good. Well done, Gloria. I like to see someone who understands the importance of being a lady." And he says, "But of course, that's not actually your true name, is it?" And he kind of pauses for a moment as if thinking, and then says, "Maria Glinska, wasn't that your name?" Maria.
Yes, Maria. Given to me by my father, in fact.
Really?
A very wonderful and important Russian man.
Really?
Yes.
Did he know when he was doing his work, as you put it, that he would give birth to such a lovely daughter who would serve her country the way he must have served his?
I can't suspect that he wanted a boy, said my mother, but he was proud of me, if that is what you are asking.
He says, "I have no doubt. So you do this work in the memory of your father, unless he's still alive?"
Of course, behind every great Russian man, there is a great Russian woman.
"I have never doubted it, comrade." And he sort of pours more whiskey for himself and then says, "So you do this simply for the honoring of your parents? You have no personal stake in doing this for our country?"
I do it for the honor of my country, which is why my parents did it.
He nods. He says, "We need more like you. Someone who understands the importance of being both patriotic and beautiful." And he lifts his whiskey. And he just yeah.
Here's to that.
And he drinks a little bit. And he says, "Well, that's good. You know, I wasn't 100% sure about some of your friends. You all seemed, more professional than some of the ones they've sent me. As you said, it's a difficult job to get a group of well-meaning but still somewhat amateurs to be able to be good enough for a project of this importance."
It's true. They sent me with knowledge that I was, in fact, a bit more prepared than most.
Really? What sort of knowledge are we speaking of?
Oh, it's not the first time that I have visited the States.
And he kind of opens his mouth a little bit. "Really? Have you been, let us say, to Philadelphia, where your assignment is?"
I have not visited the great city of Philadelphia. I was stationed in Los Angeles.
And he nods. He says, well, I am sure that the powers that be understand what they're doing. I make assignments based upon their recommendations, you see. And it was suggested that you would have the profile necessary for the assignment of dancer. After having seen you tonight in the discotheque, I can see that they underestimated that talent. I wonder whether or not these dances of yours are as effective in private as they are in public, Miss Glinska.
Well, you asked for me to be a lady tonight, sir. And I'm more than happy to do that. But I have been known to provide a private dance or two for a right price.
He says, bribery? That's not very Russian of you, comrade.
She gets really close and she says, I bribe for nothing. I simply want to see what it is you do. You're so powerful.
And he narrows his eyes. He says, power. I do what I do, of course, for my country. The power is a positive side effect.
It's true. But your passion for your country, it is infectious.
And he kind of, he sort of looks you up and down. He says, indeed. I find your presence somewhat infectious too, Ms. Glinska, I must admit.
Is there no Mrs.? Do I know his last name?
Well, so depends on whether you want to, I mean, yes and no. You know his real last name and you know his fake last name, but you don't know whether he knows that you know it, if you follow.
Right.
So,
I'll use his fake last name then, which is Peterson?
Right.
Okay, so many freaking names.
Yep.
Yeah, she says, so I assume there is no Miss Peterson.
And he says, sadly, no. I've always had too much focus upon my work. I've been married to my country, and so long I haven't had the time to be married to a wife. That's why
you do your country disservice.
And he says, really?
Yes. For every powerful man deserves a powerful woman next to him, supporting his moves, and making sure that he is entertained when necessary.
And he lowers his head to sort of right near yours, and he kind of whispers, your lips almost touching, and he says, there are sometimes compensations to this position.
She says, really? I would like to see that.
He says, and he kind of leans back, he says, but of course we must use care. And he goes to his desk. Now, while he goes to his desk, I'm going to freeze frame that for a second. I want to go to Benjamin.
Where we get a dick pic.
No. No. Benjamin, I mean, this is, this is Simon Impossible After Dark, but let's not go crazy.
Right.
Ben, in the meantime, so you had traced them across to that house. You knew that they were going in there. Were you doing anything after that, like to trace them further, or what were you doing?
Okay, Arv, we should have like a minute left before we lose that.
You are correct.
Plot point. Okay, if nobody else
about
wants to
2 to 3. Like I'll give you a couple more minutes than that.
Okay. There isn't just one room to the house that they were discussing, correct? Like where they were meeting and doing where Pasek has his like sit downs with everybody, where they were drinking, where they were flirting, where they're doing what the hell they were doing.
There may be 2 floors to it, but he only is in the like. There's basically the office that you assume that like he was in, had his desk and stuff like that, and that's where he's meeting right now with Vivian. There is a second floor to the place, yes.
Okay, since we're gonna lose this anyway, I would like to use my use the point, the mission point, to perform my special ability, which is enter any area without detection. So
all right.
I would like him to get into the area, and here's where I would see if we can do this while Vivian is talking to him and has his full undivided attention.
Okay.
is there any way that in the room that they're in, using this mission point, if Ben can kind of come in behind, like in full view of Vivian, but behind the back of Pasek, and he's going to start using that mission point. I can get in anywhere I want to be. He's going to go in and just start looking in the desk drawers, like looking up right all this is going on.
You know what? I'll allow you to get in. I'll allow you to not be detected when you get in, and I'll allow you to start looking. But I can't promise you that you'll get out undetected unless checks are made or you and Vivian play the hell out of it. However,
right.
this is rock and roll, people. I mean, you're the greatest spy team for a reason, right?
Sure we are. You're darn tootin' we are. Okay.
This is assignment Unpossible for a reason.
How many more mission points do we have?
After that one, it's 2.
Okay. All right.
She says very okay.
Okay, here we go. All right. I may have an option for helping him get out of this. Okay, so I see you enter the room and do this.
Yep. This is right about the time when he's saying there are compensations. Like it's at that moment where he's directly focused.
She's going to see you, and her eyes are going to widen, hopefully with him close enough that she can't see it. And she says,
"Careful of that mission point. That's only so far that'll go, Ben."
Yeah. She says, I know this may seem a bit forward, but since I'm not having to be Gloria tonight, may I kiss you?
And he says, "Well, comrade, we'll see whether or not that passion extends beyond your work." Okay.
And I'm gonna just lay it on him. All
right. Ben, I'm going to ask you then to do, well, first of all, I'm going to ask you exactly where you're looking, and then I'm going to have you take a risk, but you're going to get a bonus because of Vivian's act. Actually, I'll take that back. Vivian, if you want to do this and use your special ability, I'll buy that, but it's going to take another one of the mission points. You can do that, though.
That was what I was thinking about. I'm going to see if this is just enough of a distraction before I have to convince him of something. Because I have to make him believe something. It's very specific.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, Ben, where specifically are you looking in the room?
Okay, so he's got his desk and he's got that weird cabinet behind that opened up into the wine cellar, right?
The wine, not not cellar, but the where the wine display was, basically, and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, so he's going to try to pop that first and look back in there, because if I was going to keep an antidote somewhere, I would keep it out of any place that somebody would look, quickly. Or so he's going to take a look in that area, and then if it's not there, proceed to the desk.
Okay. Let me have you take a risk then, please. You can do this as your shade. But you'll be rolling your shade roll as you look into this wine area, because it does look like there are many little bottles and glasses behind the wine, but there's the whole noise thing. Okay, so you've got a 13. All right, tell me what it is that you think you found there and how you do this, and I will tell you how that's almost right, but not quite.
Were you giving him the bonus die for this, and she was locking lips?
Right, I am locked lips.
Yeah.
And she didn't use her special ability.
Right. I'm gonna save that, assuming that this is giving him a possibility to do this at all. That you may end up having to use that special ability, though, Vivian, depends. But
Okay.
Okay. So tell me what you get out of that, Ben, and I'll tell you whether that's right or not.
I would say that if Ben had hidden the antidote somewhere, he would have hidden it among these bottles just to disguise it in plain sight. So Ben thinks he has found something that looks surprisingly like the antidote, or something that's not liquor that's in here, kind of secreted away in such a way to make it look like it's being camouflaged.
I would say that that's right, that there is kind of a, what do they call those, a snifter, of, I think that's the right term, of wine. So it's a little bit larger. It's a decent sized bottle. It's not enormous, but it's a decent sized bottle. But as you are pulling it out, because clearly what he generally tries to do, this thing is designed to pull out several ways. Like basically you open it up and then you can open it up again to get to the back. But if you do that, you're almost going to be banging into the back of his leg. So instead you have to just kind of reach in, and as you're reaching it out, it bangs into ever so slightly one of the other bottles. So you can see, now this is during your kiss, Vivian, and you can kind of feel me like kind of look around like this.
She grabs his face and turns it back. So that he can't turn around and see what's going on. And she says, "Oh, clumsy me, bumping my foot. You got me all flustered."
Let me get a risk out of that. That's a grifter risk, Vivian.
Okay. All right, finally I get to roll. You know what's funny? I actually think last game I didn't roll once.
You didn't. You
I
never
didn't
did.
roll one time, so this will be my first
This
one.
is a big time grift.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, decanter. There you go. Yeah, that's really nice.
17.
Oh my god, with the 17s. I am very happy you guys are doing so well. It's just amazing, the consistency. Okay. So, you do that and he says, "Oh, yes, a little tension goes a long way in this job. Don't you agree, comrade?"
Oh, I do. I also want to use a mission point to convince you of something right now.
Oh, please do so.
Yes.
I love it when you talk to her.
Yes, she says,
Sorry, I couldn't do it.
what does she say? She says, Peterson. She says his name and whispers it in his ear, and she makes the biggest bug eyes at Benjamin. That's like, get the fuck. And she says, "I sure would like to see the secret mission in the morning, but you know." She says, "But I sure do better with the lights out." And can I reach over and flip the lights out?
The lights are behind you, but you can kind of reach back, and if you do that, you'll actually be pulling him with you slightly towards the light switch and away from Ben.
Yeah, I'll take him by like a collar or something and like drag him a little bit, like lead. I just want to keep his eyes off of it. I'm gonna use the mission point to make him believe anything, that I perform better in the dark, and I'm gonna flick that switch off.
That sounds good. That gives you, I believe you have one mission point left, if I'm not mistaken, but that is not due until for about another 45 minutes. So you actually have time to use that last one. All right. So you did that. Now, Ben, I assume you're getting the hell out of Dodge, or am I wrong about that?
Nope. Arv, as soon as, of course not.
What?
You sit down at the desk, put your feet up. No, I'm just kidding.
As soon as the leg moves away from, I couldn't pull it out all the way. He is then going to extend the shelf to get to the decanter. And so when she hits the lights, he's going to pull out the decanter. And as he works, he does his best work in the dark. He's going to take the decanter and he's going to walk out. And as he walks by, he's going to pinch Pasik's ass as he goes by and just.
He's like, "Oh, comrade, this is really
I'm sorry,
forward of you.
wandering hands.
Very strong. Strong feeling of,
That's Mother Russia pumping through my veins."
Okay. All right, so Ben is out. We're going to freeze frame Vivian for just a second. We're going to jump back to Damien and Stasi. And while we do that, I'm going to say hi to everyone in chat who's watching a really fun, wonderful session of Assignment Unpossible. This is episode 3, part 2 of The Carriers. You are watching the insanely talented Grimjack, That Salty Ginger, Little Red Dot, and Unmade Gaming, playing respectively Benjamin Voss, Anastasia Sokolov, also known as Stasi, Vivian Merlot, and Damien Antonio, the Shade, the Heavy, the Grifter, and the Tech. All doing a great job as per usual. If you like what you see here, please make sure to follow the channel, sub to the channel, support the Patreon, and also please go to these people's wonderful channels and support them. Super happy that we're playing this campaign together. We are using John Wick's Wilderness of Mirrors system, and it is awesome. Okay, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Stasi and Damien, you are facing this very metal, very closed, very locked door.
Can we hear anything from the other side?
Yes. If you listen to the other side, you hear a very faint hum. Actually, that sound of the hum that I just heard from someone is exactly what you hear.
And this one does have a complicated lock, right?
It sure does. Well, it sure looks like it means business. I'll put it that way. It definitely looks heavy, and it looks like it's 2 locks, actually, Damien.
Okay. So my plan is to invent the lockpicking gun, which is a thing that definitely didn't exist then, but exists now. Essentially, I'm going to take all of like the springs and gears and gadgets that I got from the store, and make a mechanism that like you put into the lock and then you squeeze the trigger and it does all the lock picking kind of thing for you.
Okay, I will allow that as one of two things. I'll allow for you to take a risk to see if you can do that, or I'll allow you to use, but I do warn you, it's your last one, a mission point to just say that you did it.
No, I'm gonna take a risk.
Okay. Can you please describe for me, just because I can't wait, what, like, did you take it from like a bird, like a wind-up bird, and then you put together like a scooter, like a radio flyer handle from a wagon, like just
so it's gonna be like,
just indulge me. I want to hear how this works.
Like the drinking bird,
yeah.
Like parts of that, right? But yeah, essentially it's like the wind-up toys that like skitter across your desk. I've dismantled all of those.
Okay.
And taken out all the gearboxes and the rotaries that are inside of those.
Okay.
And then anything that has a spring in it, the spring's been taken out and the spring has been straightened and rebent to act as like paper clips when you're picking locks, or like the thin things. Basically any small thing I could have purchased, like any innocuous thing, like hair clips or barrettes, like those kind of things. Those have been snapped open, and like the metal clip of the barrette is now functionally part of this thing. And yeah, essentially he like slides the thing in there and just like crimps it down, and it moves the mechanisms around it and adjusts the teeth in the lock.
Dig it. Give me a check, please. That'll be 5 because you're doing your tech check.
Nice.
15.
15. All right. And actually, wait. Is that within my veto range? I think it's 16 through 20. Yeah. So you will narrate, but I will get a veto. So so you basically described what it is. I will say that it does that, but when it clicks, you hear the hum change very clearly the sound, like change a note, as if something has been turned on somewhere in the building. So the door is now open, but it went from like a hum, like to zoo, 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 zoo. Simultaneous to this, by the way, Vivian, up in the office where it's all dark, you hear something going. It's not an alarm, but it sounds almost like what an alarm would sound like if it were not. It sounds like it's almost like a muted alarm system. And you don't think that Passix noticed it yet, but it is definitely noticeable to you. I'll still freeze frame you, but that's what you hear at the moment. Meanwhile, back down in the basement, Damien, so you hear this something sounds odd. However, the door is now open.
Yeah, I think he like clicks the lock and you can hear it click, and then he turns to Stassi, and then you hear the noise change and he goes, "That's probably nothing," and then opens the door.
Okay, let's move then.
When you open the door, you see that there is a small little hallway that goes down to another door and bends to the left. And if you follow it down and look to the left you can see, with just one light bulb hanging above it, an elevator door. So there's the door that you came from, there's the door in front of you, and then there is an elevator door down the hallway to the left.
Okay. Yeah. So we should look at the door that's not the elevator door.
That door, very similar to this one, seems to be where the is coming from. It seems to be coming from inside this room. Damien, this lock is also a difficult lock, but moreover, that hum that you think you hear seems to be coming from, as I said, inside the room, but specifically on the door. Like you can almost feel a vibration on the door itself. And it seems to have started when you unlocked the previous door.
I feel like, man, maybe we just leave this one alone?
You could go back and relock that one.
It's not a bad plan. And he does. Damien goes back and from the inside locks the door.
Nothing happens.
Well,
I mean, nothing changes in the sound.
shit.
Well, the elevator, I would guess, leads to the theater. So this door is the only one we don't know where things are.
I feel like it's either going to make things better or make things very much worse.
Well, I'll go around the corner while you try it.
No, I mean, it's either going to set off an alarm or it's going to be the place where you turn off the alarm.
I mean, hey, we're already infected with a deadly disease.
That's true. So if you had to put a number to how many people you can punch before they can punch me,
10.
That's a sizable number, given the number of people in the town. Okay, and he squats down and he gets the little gun he made, and he's gonna attempt to pick that lock as well.
Let's have you do a risk save too.
Alrighty.
Wow. All right. Yeah. So this time you don't. I don't have a veto. So what happens when you do this?
Basically the exact same thing. He gets down and he slides the mechanism in and gives it a few quick pumps, and you hear like click click, and then he opens the door, and I assume it opens out.
It does.
So what does he see?
Inside, you see a room which, unlike everything you've been into this place, seems as if it's been designed to be sterile. There are metal tables everywhere and metal shelves. And standing in the middle, there's it's a fairly decent sized room. And in the middle, on top of this, almost looks like an island of metal tables, there are a number of cabinets, probably about 6 of them, which are filled with shelves from top to bottom. And inside these cabinets, each of the cabinets has glass doors. And inside are what look like light bulbs that are currently off. It looks like there's little switches on each of the cases that you could maybe press possibly to turn the lights, you don't know. But they seem to be holding shelves of some, and there's a bunch of the same kind of thing on those shelves, but you can't see it from here. You need to actually go in to see what's there.
Does the humming shift back?
The humming does not seem to have shifted back. It does indeed, as you unclicked this thing, the humming continues to be there, and the door itself does feel like it's vibrating a little bit. But it doesn't hurt you or shock you or anything, but it does seem to be vibrating.
I'm going to look around for any kind of... Again, I'm looking for writing, something that's going to be clear, whether it's in Russian or English. Any instructions for anything.
There is actually a clipboard, which is on one of the desks, and it is written in Russian. But fortunately, you seem to have a good handle on that language, Stasi. And as you read it, you can actually see that it looks to be a requisition order. But the requisition order looks like a list of syringes, hypodermics, needles, gauze, bandages, vials, like a whole bunch of what look like almost, like inoculation or injection or things that are relating to that. And then there's numbers next to them. And the numbers all read the same thing, which is 200. So there's 200 this, 200, 200, 200, 200, all the way down, like under each of these line items.
Well, if all this is being set up and we at least assume for now that the viruses are in the cabinets or whatever, like Ben told us that Jonas said, then, I mean, weren't we going to see if we could, like, switch things? So we shouldn't disturb anything. We shouldn't destroy anything. That would be good.
But if this is an antidote, we should probably take one in case we can bring it back, right?
Let's, we'll take a closer peek.
I'm not a doctor.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm an engineer. I'm not a doctor.
I mean,
yeah, he'll walk. Actually, I mean, I have a real bad feeling about this door. What's in the hallway that we're in right now, Greg?
It looks to be just the hallway is only, behind you is the small hallway leading to the door from the basement of the other place. I should say the small door leading to the passageway, which leads to the basement of the other place. And then to your left, as you look at this room, is a longer hallway, which ends in this elevator door. And that's pretty much it. Seems to be pretty bare bones.
do you want to see if you can find something to turn that off with? I'll use the Superman flashlight too.
I don't think I can, but you know what?
I thought you were an engineer, not a doctor.
You're right, but I don't know what's making that noise unless I take the entire door apart, and we don't have that kind of time. What
What's
if
it made of? How big is it?
you hold the door, and I'm gonna drag something over and put it in front of it, because the only thing I can think of that makes that noise are gears, electricity, or magnets, and I don't want to be trapped in this room forever.
It is made of metal, by the way, in answer to that question.
Sweet. Okay, sure. We'll
So
block it.
so Damien's gonna drag something over to like block the door from swinging closed, which is his fear, and trapping us in this freaking room forever.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay. All right, you do that. You drag it from the basement, I assume, right? Because there's not really a
Yeah.
lot of stuff around. Okay, so you bring. Like a chair? Do you bring one
Yeah,
of the?
something that's like a sturdy metal chair, or like one of like the like the lab side desks that lift up that
Okay.
have the scalpels and whatever.
So
on
you're
them.
able to do that. You're able to sort of put it in place. And now you put it in place. That does kind of block easy exit and egress and ingress, but it does make it so that it holds the door open. Okay, so you do that. Now what, Damien? I'm jumping to Vivian in a second. Or actually, I'm going to jump to Ben and then Vivian in a second, but go ahead, Damien.
Yeah, he's gonna go in and look at those vials. He wants to see if they're. I mean, at least if they're in English, he wants to see if they're antidotes.
So again, it's dark. Are you just using your flashlight to kind of like
Yeah.
look down? Okay. They are unmarked, but they are many petri dishes, rows and rows of petri dishes with some disturbing looking green gunk in each one of them. Many of them, like 10 per shelf and like 6 or 7 shelves per cabinet, and like, many of them.
Yeah. Once he sees that, he turns back to Stasi and says, "Non-antidote."
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We can't do anything until we have it because the plan was to switch it, so we should retreat now.
Yeah.
Now, as you turn around to do this, Damien, there is this, and Stasi, you feel the door, and something finally triggers in it and slams the metal. Basically, the door slams into the metal, which slams into the side of the door frame. So it makes this huge bam, like in the building, and it basically is so strong that it seems to be bending this chair as it's starting to close. There's some electromagnet or something like that that's trying to close it.
Yes!
Simultaneously, upstairs, Vivian, that hum that you heard now goes to the woo, woo, boo, and Pazik immediately is like, "What? Oh, God damn it," and turns around and hits a button on his desk. And Benjamin, as you're walking out the door with your decanter, feeling very pleased with yourself, across the street, you suddenly see several people, among them Doc, emerge from the discotheque. Doc is carrying a shotgun, and they are heading directly for the Pasik's building. And Pasik says to you, Vivian, "Unfortunately, my dear, we will have to cut short our lovely evening. And depending on what I find, we might have to cut short other things too." And as he says this, one of the people comes into Pasik's building, and it's Doc. And he says, Pasik says, "Alarm downstairs in the lab. You hold her here." And Doc says, "All right then." And his sort of folksy, "Well, I guess I might do," is sort of gone. He says, "All right then." Like just sort of like, directly like that. And he's holding the sort of shotgun trained on you, Vivian, as Pasig pushes past you. Ben, you now see that there are several people. You can't see all their faces, but there are at least 4 or 5 of them that seem to be fairly heavily armed anyway, that are now entering the building. And Stasi, the door, as I said, is kind of like trying to slam shut on this chair.
Just for clarification from upstairs, they're entering the building or the theater?
They are entering the, I'm sorry, not Pasik's building. Doc did go to Pasik's building, I'm sorry. They are also, the rest of them are entering the theater, I beg your pardon.
The theater, great.
So, yeah.
Cool.
But
I thought.
yeah, too many buildings. But
Okay,
but
I'm going to try to push it. I'm going to try to fight back against
give me a heavy check, please.
Bam.
Literally heavy in this case. I need to be heavier.
13.
All right, tell me the basics of what you want to have happen, other than just holding it open. How specifically?
Right. The basics are kind of using the leverage we've got to just make a space wide enough. I mean, Damien's pretty tiny, so I'm trying to get just a space wide enough just with my pure muscle to get space enough for him to hop out.
I would say that you are able to do that, but as Damien is trying to exit, Damien, you are, assuming you are you trying to exit, I assume? Okay. So
Yeah.
as you are trying to exit, the door finally crunches this thing and slams shut. So you are able to pull your foot out just before, like, slam, but in the process of doing that, your leg is scraped. and there is a little bit of blood on your leg, and it stings much more than it ought to.
Oh.
Well, shit.
All right, Ben. You've just seen all hell break loose, or at least heard all hell break loose. What are you doing while this is going on?
Okay, this is a self-sufficient town that is off the grid, so to speak,
Yep.
correct?
As far as you know.
Okay, he's looking for there has to be an oil container somewhere that is powering or heating the homes. So he's going to calmly kind of just start walking. He puts the bottle of whatever he's found. He goes to, we'll pick the shop, someplace that probably doesn't have anybody in it this time of night. So
Okay.
Doc's General Store,
Okay.
it might have some secondary pops in it as well. He is going to look around. He is going to, if he can't find anything, he is simply going to undo the cap of the oil container. He is going to light the nearest handful of dry leaves or some type of tinder that he can find, and he is going to put it into the spout of the oil can. He is going to take a quick couple steps back and wait until it begins to smoke, and then he's going to scream in Russian, "My God," and wait for that thing to pop.
Okay. Are you backing up from after having done that? Like, are you...
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, all right. So you back all the way up. Now, what are you doing with the antidote, if assuming that's what that is? Are you grabbing it back? Like, what are you...
Oh, yeah. I'm
Okay.
definitely keeping the antidote with me. He's just going, this is a distraction. As soon as it started and he kind of sees it smoke and slip into the oil from like a block or two down the street, he's going to scream in Russian, "My God," wait for the explosion, and then he's going to double back and see if Doc comes out of Passix to see if he can't get Vivian out the way he came in through the back.
Okay. So you sort of step back to do that. My God, and then it does make this very satisfying explosion. You feel that, Vivian, the sort of buildings rock, and Doc sort of like, with his shotgun kind of goes back a little bit. Like,
Does he break eye contact?
I would say for a second, I don't know that he yes, I'd say that he breaks it for a second, but not like, falls over. But it's not like that impressive, but he breaks eye contact for a second.
Okay. But I don't know. I want to.
I was gonna say, what do you want
I
to
want
do
to take
something with that
action
second?
so bad.
Yeah.
In that like split second moment where things are like shaky, because it's just Doc, right? There's nobody else in the room with me.
Correct.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Vivian's gonna throw. Well, she's gonna reach for the end of the shotgun and try to like smash him in the nose with it.
Okay. This is a heavy check.
It is a heavy check.
Definitely is a heavy check. It's definitely not a grift check.
Okay.
I mean, you got a mission point left, but you know.
What does that do? That gives me an extra die?
Yes.
We're gonna hold on that. I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna brave it, because if I get, it's cool.
Okay.
Everybody keep your fingers crossed, because I rolled a 7.
Well, so with the 7,
veto something. That's better than others.
that means that I'm going to tell you what happens, but you get to veto something. So
Okay.
you try to basically sort of ram the thing back into his nose. He grabs it. He's like, "Nope, there'll be none of that now." And he sort of pushes you like over, so you almost fall over against the desk. And he does like pumps it again, and holds it up. And he says, "You try something like that one more time, little missy, and I'll be forced to blow that pretty face of yours into the next street." And his normally pleasant demeanor or whatever is completely gone. Now, that's mostly what happened, but you can veto a part of that if you want.
I am gonna veto a part of it.
The being a dick part.
Yeah, all of it. I'm going to veto that she's. No, I'm going to veto. You said he cocked the gun.
Yes.
I'm going to veto the fact he did not. There is not actually anything loaded in the barrel of that gun.
Ooh, okay. I won't have him cock it, but I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna veto that far
It's
because
not-
because
yeah,
he had
okay,
the gun
okay.
loaded before he came in. But that
Oh,
said,
yes,
though,
that's
I
true.
won't have him hold it in the same way. So that's fair. So he's still sort of looking at you fiercely. In the meantime, it was a good idea though. In the meantime, Damien and Stasi, as you were so you got him out of the room. I mentioned Damien. You feel the sort of thing stinging, and you hear ding from the elevator down the room. The thing is counting down from 2 to 1. Someone is coming downstairs.
I think you're up.
You're on the other side of the door, so go hide.
Okay.
Good luck. Tell Ben and Vivi that I love them or whatever.
Oh, don't forget you have a gun.
I don't need it.
Just if you get bored, spice it out. Whatever. Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks for your help.
Damien, where are you going now?
Das wird an mir.
Back up through the house.
Okay. And up the basement and
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you trying to reconvene with the team, or are you just like what do you? I just want to know, and then I will come back to Stasi.
Man, I don't think he knows what the team is, but he assumes that there's an alarm happening, so there's gonna be like some disarray.
Right.
Going to come out of the house and like quietly like join the what's happening? The hubbub that is he assumes is happening in the town center.
Okay. All right. You do that, and you actually find Benjamin, who is like doing this thing of like, my God, in Russian, kind of like, looking around. You haven't seen Pasek emerge, Ben, but you do see Damien emerge, who is sort of looking kind of semi-confused for real and semi-confused for, pretend. But you can also see that he seems to be favoring his right leg as he walks, or / runs. As you come up to him, you guys will be able to talk to each other in a minute. But first of all, Stasi, the elevator opens. What are you doing as the elevator opens? Before you see?
There's only the one entrance, right?
Well, there's the basement entrance, the one that leads to the basement of the house.
The entrance to this room. There's a big metal door, right?
Right. Well, no. Let me set the scene though. You're still outside that room. Both of you got outside the room. You held the door open. He got through, so he got out, but scraped his leg in the process of doing it. But you were outside trying to hold that door. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to do it.
Cool.
So that's how you know the elevator's moving, because you're in the hallway.
Okay. I'm going to go. I like this, Greg. I'm going to go back where the back toward the basement, I guess.
Okay.
And I'm going to. Is there a place where I can spider maid?
Let's see. Yes, I think probably. You might be able to do that. Are you doing it where though? Because you will be very visible if the elevator opened down that hallway.
Oh no, I mean back toward where the bodies, the styrofoam was.
Which side of the door for that? At this side or the other side?
I guess the other side. My goal is to have as many of them come in as possible, especially if they see, blood going drip, drip, drip that way. And then when they're all clustered together, destroy them.
Okay. All right. So you set
Everyone.
yourself up for that. We'll talk about the heavy check you make in a minute when they do that. The door opens. Ding. Now you don't see this obviously because your spider made it up above, but you hear this, and then, listen. And you hear this sort of talking back and forth to each other in Russian. And you hear this sort of yammering at each other. You see, or you hear, I should say, sounds like someone trying the door, and then Nayat, and then turns around, and then two of them, it sounds like at least 2, maybe 3 footsteps are coming towards the basement. And then the door opens, and 2 people pass right underneath you. Now, it sounded like it might have been 3, but you only see 2 underneath you.
Mm-hmm. Does it sound like there are any more back down the hall?
Can't tell. One of them might have stopped. It sounded like there were at least 3, but there's only 2 that you see. But a third one might have stopped. Both of these guys, by the way, are carrying what looks like some kind of assault rifle. Maybe an AK, something like that.
Cool. Great. Good. Are they looking around? Are they stopping? Or are they
No,
just
they're
moving?
looking straight ahead, as if they're going right into the basement where they presumably are following this trail.
Right. Oh, goody. So then I guess as they come in, I will. I guess I want to drop down and have the guns come out of their hands as I have my boot daggers out. So maybe it's like sliding down and the boot daggers are going in them. So it's like I'm jumping in front of them and then knocking the rifles out of their hands.
So you're trying to dagger them and knock the guns out of their hands, basically?
Sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead and make a heavy check for me.
Cool. We do have that mission point. I thought there would be more of them.
Yes, things got a little intense over the last half hour to 45 minutes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. 19. I rolled.
Hey, there you go. Yes, absolutely. So you drop down, and what happens?
Okay, so as I drop down, I jump in kind of front of them with the boot daggers out, right? So they're, and I'm very close to them, so their faces get slashed and the front of them gets slashed as I all the way down, their arms and the assault rifles fall in front of them. Oh no, how sad. And I immediately will, I'll dart a look down the hall behind them, but I'm
Because-
already moving.
Right, because you do that, and it works perfectly, and it's a good thing you dart it, because as you do
Yeah.
so, you see there is an assault rifle pointed
Yeah.
right at you from the third guy. And as you are running towards them, freeze frame for a moment, Damien and Benjamin in the street above, you have found each other. Benjamin has this sort of smug smile on his face. Damien looks freaked out a little bit, as I've described. You guys see each other.
Hey, Damien, what's going on?
I'm poisoned.
Yeah, we all are. Good thing is, I think I got the antidote. He holds up the bottle. As I'm sure there's chaos
Oh,
going
yeah.
on.
Yep. Kevin
So
Bacon
I got-
somewhere. All is well. All is well.
Stassi's fighting an elevator full of bad guys.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody with a gun in here with Vivian. Give me a second.
Okay.
He walks up and he hands the antidote to Damien, and he looks at his watch and says, "I just pull this thing out, and that's what I stick him with, right?"
Oh, yeah. The little, the handle, the timey thing.
Okay. Is it just have to touch their skin?
Now you gotta jab them with it.
Yeah,
It's a
jab 'em
needle.
with it.
I mean, it's a needle. It's pretty easy to get in there.
Okay, do me a favor.
Yeah.
I want you to walk over in the street across there. There's the chaos everywhere.
Yeah.
Walk over in the street right across there and count to 10. And I want you to scream, "Passik's dead!"
Got
Do
it.
that for
Okay.
Yeah, like loud.
How long?
Just loud. Just Passik's dead.
And
Passik's
it's
dead.
okay. Cool. All right.
And then just don't say it anymore so people don't know that you said it.
Right.
Okay.
I like that
Got
you
it.
didn't actually answer how long. So he's just like, okay, 1, 2, 3, or is it 1, 2, 3, Like,
Yeah.
when do I go?
15 seconds is a good amount of time.
All right. So he goes over and stands on the door beside where the into Passik's office is, that porch you described before.
Yes.
And he just sits there and he lights up a cigarette as he just smokes for a second and waits, and he pulls that needle out. And as he's smoking one cigarette, he takes the needle and kind of puts it in the end of another cigarette that he's holding, kind of like punchy punch style. And he just sits there and waits for the scream to go off.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an awkwardly long time because he's not sure if he's supposed to wait for Ben to go in to the place. And then he like
watches
sees
it
Ben with the
work.
cigarette, and then he like looks back to the chaos and Passik's dead. And then he walks away.
People are like, what? You hear like people start to react. Okay.
And as soon as that scream comes across, Ben will mirror that scream and go, "Oh my God, Passik's dead!" as he screams like from a separate location.
Okay.
And then he just waits to see if the guy comes out of the house.
He does come out as that is all happening. Vivian, you hear from inside screams and shouting, and you see Doc. Now, Doc is not like, but you can see he's kind of like, he wants to look over his shoulder. Like, you can see he's kind of getting nervous, like
Right.
wanting to see what's going on.
I very clearly hear them say this, though.
You don't hear the Passik's dead. Actually, I'd say that you hear Ben's Passik's dead. You don't hear Damien's, but you hear Ben say that. So, and you're pretty sure that's Ben's voice, too.
As soon as I hear that, I am going to grift the shit out of this.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my god! And I'm gonna break down into tears.
Okay.
And just sob, our great leader's dead, he's dead, he's dead, oh my god, he's dead. And once her mascara, she's like, so it runs.
Okay.
And she turns around and looks up at him and she says, please, you can stand here with me or we can go down and fight for him, for our country.
And he says, well, what do you mean? Go ahead and make a grifter roll for me. Let's do a grifter check. And I haven't forgotten about you, Stasi. I'll come back.
Oh no, I'm cheering Chelsea on.
All right, here we go. Oh, bad roll, 12.
Bad roll. Yeah, it's not a terrible roll.
I guess in comparison to where we've been.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, compared to our usual amazing rolls.
Yeah.
Give me what you think you want to have happen, and then I'll tell you how close that was.
What I would like to happen is for him to lower his gun and consider that guarding me is less important than potentially going outside. Basically to trust that I'm not a threat.
Okay, I will say that he does lower his gun and backs up a couple steps, but doesn't turn his eyes away from you completely.
Okay,
But he's
that's
definitely sort of like, maybe should we go? I don't know. He told me to stay here, like with you, and he's kind of.
And she
clearly
says, "Are you?
conflicted.
Yeah." She says, "Are you telling me you'd rather stand here and watch me cry than go down there and save the man who is fighting for our country?"
And he says,
She says, "You are a coward in Mother Russia's eyes."
in front of me, and he kind of like points like he wants you to go in front of him.
Okay. She brisks past him by bumping him and makes sure that like when she walks in front of him, she sways in all the right places.
All right, and he's got his gun sort of behind you. He kind of nervously walks by. Meanwhile, Stasi, you've got this guy holding an assault rifle, and he raises it to fire away. What are you doing?
What I'm going to do, since he's right there, since we were like all in the doorway, what I'd like to do is like grab onto the rifle, right? Push it up, do a backwards flip as my boot daggers go up from his tummy all the way up.
Wow. Okay, that is. Let's talk about some risk. Give me a heavy check there.
Okay.
That was graphic.
23.
Wow. I would say that's pretty much exactly what happens. You just he's like lowers it, you grab the gun, jump up, like two slashes, vertical slashes all the way up. He basically does the Darth Maul, like except the other direction, falls over, like collapses. You land on the ground, and kind of like, I like to think with a 23 you land on the ground and also still holding the butt of his gun, gradually, like the front of his gun slowly lowered onto his body, and then just kind of let it go. Okay, the hallway is still. The alarm still seems to be going off.
Okay, I'll go join my friends Damien and Benjamin. But I think this assault rifle's pretty cool.
Are you taking it with you?
I'll look before I fully emerge. We'll see I don't know the situation up top, so I wouldn't stride out if everything looked normal.
Right. Are you going through the basement or are you trying to do the elevator?
The basement.
Okay. So you go back that way towards the basement. Ben, the door opens, and indeed, Pasek comes out, and he actually has his handgun drawn as he walks out, and he sort of stops as he sees you and is kind of like, "The hell are you doing here?"
Wait a minute. Wait, what? Where was Pasek came out of his own house?
Mm-hmm.
Well, was he in there with
He
Doc
was in there with Doc and Vivian, sure.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So he's gonna sit there and be smoking a cigarette and go, I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
And he says, "Where have you been over the last 15 minutes?"
I was over at the dance hall where you saw me, and I was coming back along. I was going to the dormitory, and there was an explosion. This seemed like the most appropriate place for me to go, so...
At this point, by the way, there are people now who are, looks like essentially firefighters of some kind who are using, who are doing water on the building dock store, which is currently, somewhat in flames. It's not an inferno, but is definitely in fire. And he says, I don't understand what the hell's going on here, but you are coming with me. And he kind of holds up his gun at you, Ben, and sort of gestures forward.
Is that necessary? Why don't you calm down?
He says, everything has been odd since you've gotten here, and I want to know what's going on with you and your friends.
Okay, well, sounds good. Where are we going? Where should I walk?
And he says, if you please, to the theater. Now, Damien, where are you? You see this happening, obviously. You can't really hear what he's saying, but you see what's happening. What are you doing?
Where is the most confusion and chaos?
Probably right near Doc's store, so across the street from where you're standing, probably.
Yeah, I would be moving in that direction and just being more useless.
Okay.
Like, oh no, what should I do? Clearly not a fire person. And he's just like, can I, bucket brigade? No, okay. Can I move anything out of the? And he's just making that he's known that he's there, but providing no assistance to anyone.
Okay.
Just so that anyone can find him.
And as you do that, by the way, your leg is starting to really bother you. So you know. Okay. Vivian, you come out of the door with Doc to see that apparently you don't see any sign of Benjamin. You don't see any sign of Pasek. But you do notice that there is now someone standing guard in front of the theater, which suggests that someone has entered the theater. And indeed, Benjamin, that is where he has led you. You also, Vivian, across the street, see what is very obviously Damien waving his arms around, going, I don't know what I'm doing. Can I help anybody? Help. You don't see any sign of Stasi, though. So basically, you see Damien, no sign of Benjamin or Stasi. Also, the street is on fire, or at least the middle of it. I should mention that too, because you hadn't seen that before.
Vivian goes, look, a dissenter, and she points at Damien.
And Doc swings his shot. What? And kind of swings his shotgun in that direction.
She says, quickly, we should get him and take him to Peterson.
What? And he sort of he says, "Well, He looks completely
Doc,
bamboozled.
there's no time to wait.
And he sort of stumbles over at this point, like kind of confused about his life, especially when he sees that it's his store that's on fire, and goes over and is like, "What? You!" And he kind of points at you, Edward. And you see Vivian is right next to Doc.
Yes. She says, yes. Come with us.
I'm definitely not a fireman, but I don't think a shotgun helps you put out a fire.
Be damned to the fire. We have more important things to deal with, Damien. No, not Damien. What's your other name?
Edward.
Edward.
Who's Damien?
Edward.
He turns around.
Edward. Edward.
Got it.
Well, where to, Doc? You are the man in charge.
And he says, he's going to be going to the theater, the theater.
Well, quickly. No time to wait.
So he does that. In the meantime, Ben, you've been brought into the theater, and you are being brought over to what looks like an elevator door. As the elevator, however, is not up yet, so he's kind of waiting. And as he waits, Doc, you come in with you as if he's a person. Doc comes in with Vivian and Damien, and directs the both of you, and you see that Benjamin is sitting there as well. The only one who is not there is Stasi, and Stasi, you come out of the house, the boarded up house, to see the entire street in chaos. It looks like one of the buildings across the street is on fire, and there is what looks like there is a guard who is actually standing in front of the theater now.
Turn on the heels of my boot dagger boots and go back inside.
Okay. Where are you going to?
Back downstairs. I forgot those clips for the gun, so I'm gonna go get those anyway.
Okay, so you're going to go back down to the elevator?
Yeah, because if I see a guard at the theater, I don't see any of my friends. Chaos.
Put two and two
then
together.
Probably. Then go downstairs.
Okay. All right. The elevator door opens. It is, of course, empty. And Doc and Pasek sort of usher you along into the elevator. And as soon as they get in there, Doc says, Yashin, she said that you were in danger and that you were, then they were yelling you were dead. And he's like, what the hell is going on? What do you mean, you fool? Why would I be dead? He's like, we're taking these people down to find out what's going on. It's got something to do with these four, actually. Where's the fourth? Where's the other one? And Doc says, what? Which other one? The Susie Smith, Alina Rodenska, you know, the, and they're sort of like yelling at each other, like, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And you guys don't see or hear anything, but the elevator is not super small, but still a little bit tight quarters. And when the door opens, you all see in front of you, of course, Damien, you see something which you just previously saw, which is the hallway, except from the other end of it, of course, now. You see there is, the rest of you, though, see that there is a, what looks like a trail of something, blood, dust, something like that. There are several bodies lying on the ground, and you can see Doc is sort of, and Peterson, Pasek, is, what's going on? And he sort of gets out, and he says, you hold him there. And he sort of points at Doc to hold you there, and he runs towards the bodies. Now, Stasi, you don't see any of that, you just hear it. So, well, I was going to ask. I don't know if you were spider mating it or not.
To look up to know that there's a spider.
I wondered if you were spider mating it or if you were just.
As soon as if I heard the elevator moving, I'm like, well, they're going to come this way. There's blood.
Okay, so you spider mate again. Clearly, I'm going to have to do one of these adventures where there's no ceilings. Okay, no hallways. Okay, so he comes running down and sees the sort of looks at the bodies. And he sort of says, quickly, and he kind of, bring them here. And he waves at Doc, who, uses his shotgun to push the three of you forward.
Yes.
Now what, Stasi?
I wait until I've got Doc and Pasek.
So the problem with that is that Doc has the three of your friends in front of him.
Right. Are they all
They're all kind of clustered below you.
Oh, great.
Friends and enemies.
Great. Love it.
Do you wish to boot dagger them all and let God sort it out? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We need friends.
No, I'm just wondering if this is the appropriate time. Because we have one mission point and not a lot of time with it.
True.
So I'm going to go ahead and use it to automatically be able to take them out.
With about 3 minutes to spare on that last mission point. All right. How are you going to do this?
Okay, because we probably need to. Do we need to ask them anything? I don't know. So I won't maybe kill them outright, but I want to make it really, really cool. So maybe they put up more of a fight. Okay, so what I want to do is drop down, right? And I want, hopefully they're together. So one leg is on one of their shoulders and one leg is on the other. And then I use my thighs to smash their heads together, conking them out. Yes. And then, yes. So if one, let's say Doc gets conked out right away, but Pasek, he's a prick. So I swing around, right? And he's got the gunner. Does he have a gun?
They both have guns. Doc had the shotgun. Pasek had the
Doc
handgun.
is unconscious on the floor.
Right.
I then move with the momentum. I wrap my thighs around Pasek's neck and kind of bend back and take his hands and bend them backward while I am choking him out.
Hey, Vivian, don't kill him!
No, I'm not. I'm just knocking him unconscious. If I wanted to kill him, Vivian, he'd be
Don't
ready.
kill him.
Okay, he slumps to the ground.
Ben steps out of the elevator over the bodies and looks around and continues to smoke the cigarette he never put out. Puts the thought back into his watch and winds it a bit and looks around and says, we can make this work. We just need Bobby. If we can find Bobby, we can make this work.
And
Vivian picks up the shotgun.
as if on cue, Benjamin, when you say we need Bobby, you hear someone sort of hoarsely from the darkness coming from the basement say, "You've got him. What do you want with him?" And you can see that as he kind of crawls his way out, you can see that he looks like a mess. He looks like sick as a dog. He has this incredible amount of sweat pouring down his face. His skin is blotchy, and his face is wincing in pain. He's sort of half clutching his stomach, half reaching out. And he says, "I don't know what the hell you're all doing, but..." And he looks down at your leg, and he says, "Well, that doesn't look good. Doesn't look good."
Okay, Mr. Bobby, would you know, like, how to apply antidotes or whatever?
He says, "The antidote? Where? I could never get it. I could never get access to it. Is there an antidote
hold on.
somewhere?"
Yeah. Hold on a second. We have 200 syringes down here, correct?
You don't know. Well, I'm trying to
I'll
think if you
tell
know
them.
that. Do you want to tell them?
Yeah.
Then yes. You have a requisition order for 200. You don't know, but presumably there were. I mean, they didn't have a chance to look in all the other cabinets and stuff. So, yeah, 200 was the number that you kept seeing.
Bobby, Jonas, do you think you can pull yourself together for about 20 minutes?
Maybe. What have you got in mind?
They know you. You've been in the town since it started. I want you to go up there and tell everybody that this was the last test. It was the last test before they leave. They have all their orders. They know where they're supposed to go. They come in, they get their shot, and they head to America to do their country's duty.
And he says,
Can you
"But..."
do that?
He says, "Yeah, but how am I going to send them off? I mean, what they're going to want to know what happened to Pasek."
Tell them that Pasek is planning his next mission. He is indisposed.
And he sort of says, "Well, I guess it could work. But if they see me like this, they're never going to believe anything I have to say. I don't think."
Do they all know what's going to happen to him, Jonas?
And he says, "You mean it's getting sick?" "No, they don't have any idea. That was the beauty of his plan. Only I knew because I saw the lab."
Right. So, they see you like this, you tell them you got sick, Pasek's gonna hold you back until you feel better, and then we're gonna send everybody out. It's time to go. America, you gotta go. Get in there and do your duty because they're getting close.
Tell them that the Americans poisoned Pasek's tonight, you included, and that we must move now. The plan has been moved up.
And he sort of, his eyes light up. He's like, "And then we give him the antidotes to the poison the Americans gave them."
Correct.
I think. He says, that's pretty good. If that is, I survive long enough to give it to them, I could use some help, and your friend could too. And he points at you, Damien, who you're now leg feels like it's on fire.
Well, the first two shots are going to be to them as, I'm not sure how this is administered. Is there any way to glean that information from the bottle we got?
I think so. The syringes there, it seems like the antidote is pretty much put together the way it is. Whether it's drinkable or whether it's injectable, probably is pretty similar. So if you set up kind of a vaccination line, if you will, the four of you working together could probably do this if you wanted that to be the case with Bobby in quotes supervising. Probably you could do that.
Yeah, I'm super poisoned.
Yes,
Yeah,
let's
We'll
have-
give Bobby and Damien a shot before we give anybody else a shot, because what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Okay. So you do that, and Damien, you feel better very quickly. Probably within 5 to 10 minutes, your leg feels a lot better, and you see that Jonas himself is kind of feeling himself come back, and he says, that has to be the stuff he used then. He said, but with these 2 doses you gave us, there's only 198. Only 198 doses left, and that means even if we... And then he looks down, he says, plus these 3, and then he counts the number. He says 3 soldiers, and he looks at you 3. And he says 3 for you, 3 for the soldiers. That means there's only 2 short. And then he looks at Doc, and he looks at Pasic. And he looks
Vivian
back at
says, "Don't worry." She turns and fucking. We know that Benjamin is 100% infected, correct?
you. Yes.
Great. She plants a fucking huge kiss on Benjamin, and then she turns around and she straddles she straddles Peterson and like picks him up and kind of sets him up, and she plants a huge, following that one, a kiss on him to like wake him up, and then she slaps him. She'll straddle him. She says, "Wakey, wakey, lover." She eyeballs Benjamin maybe to hold him down so that he can't go anywhere or do anything.
The hell's going on here?
"Oh, nothing." She kisses him long and passionately. "I've just infected you
What?
with your own virus. Unfortunately, you were not smart enough to make extra antidotes, and there's only enough to go around for those of us that are, I don't know, American?"
You... Wait, there's no... You can't... You can't do that. They'll just do it again. It won't be worth anything. Filthy American pig. It won't matter. It won't matter.
If lives are saved, it always matters.
He
and
kind
your
of...
virus
Plan-
worked, but we're gonna send them out. It just the virus didn't work. Somebody failed and slipped up. They're all injected with something here, and they're gonna tell everybody they were injected with something, but it just didn't work.
And more than that, I think in the end, this simply means that you took your Russian brethren and turned them into Americans.
And he sort of looks at you, his eyes narrow. He kind of... I knew I could never trust one of you. Any of you. Mother Russia will beat you eventually, finally. Whatever you are. Stupid American tricks.
Can I just real quick, Stassi, before you kill him?
Okay.
Can I just say how dumb of an idea it is to cover a door in poison? What was your thoughts there?
What if you tripped?
That was a bad trap.
Yeah,
Like just from the get-go. Like you could have magnets, but electrocute somebody, but poison? How ineffective. I could have lived for like 6 more days.
He says...
Awful.
He says... Maybe we miscalculated a little bit with you. But
No.
eventually, you'll get found. You can't trust everyone. We've got people everywhere in your country. All of us. All of the agents. Everywhere. You and your stupid teams. Your capitalism will fail you in the end.
And our stupid dogs.
This may be true, Pasic, but today, Mother Russia bleeds at the hands of America.
That was a good line.
Can
I kill him now?
And are you killing him or not?
As I guess Benjamin's still holding him down, I look to Stasi and I say, "You can kill him now, or we can walk away and tie him to a chair and let him die slowly
Oh,
at the hands of his own virus."
oh God.
I'm not a big guy for violence, but what if we open the magnet door again and you tie him to that chair?
Oh shit. Oh my God, there's so many good options. What I would really like to do
Smoking.
all the vile shit he said, which I assume actually we had our like earpieces or whatever.
No.
Oh no, those went away.
No,
okay.
no.
Okay. Then.
Remember that Ben broke his anyway, and when you
Okay.
came...
Well,
yeah.
I don't like him anyway, so I will take the heel of my boot dagger and drive it through his mouth that's open and talking about the rock.
Great. Like I said, today Mother Russia bleeds.
As you depart the area, having leaving Jonas in charge of the inoculations, you walk behind the fire of the building that you had set, still sort of silhouetted against the glow as you were walking back to the clearing. Damien, your leg feeling a little better. Vivian, you feeling strangely satisfied, or maybe not so strangely.
In all the right ways.
Stasi feeling pretty comfortable with your behavior today, and Ben still puffing away on the cigarette as you go. You see the camp of the carriers burning in the background. Any last words, people?
Can I get a drag off this cigarette?
Yeah, just don't smoke. Right.
Hey, team. Thanks for not letting me die on my first mission.
Oh, you're welcome,
Amen.
Damien.
Perfect.
We've got you, friend.
Now for a desk job.
Right?
And with that, now for a desk job, I think we will roll credits on the end of the carriers. Good job, guys.
Whoop, whoop.
Way to go. That got a little nuts towards the end, and I wasn't 100% sure how you were going to pull it all together, because I'm like, there's a lot of moving parts where everyone was split the right way. But I think you did a very good job with multiple freeze frame cutouts, you know, as you were doing things. Also, you used the mission points very effectively, especially that last one, which nobody wanted to use. They are like, I don't want to, well, I shouldn't, you know.
Doc's death was worth it. I wanted that guy to die.
Yeah. He was a sleaze, a big time huge sleaze, and he got his proper comeuppance.
He did.
But good stuff, very good stuff, as per usual from the team. I will start as I usually do, from the right side of the screen as you look. So I will start over with you, Mike. Mike, good work on the first mission. Good stuff out of Damien. That lock-picking gun was huge. A lot of other good moments from you. How did you feel about this, and where will the fine people see you next, sir?
This was cool. This is my first time playing. Well, I guess technically my second time playing the system. It's neat. It's fluid. I like it. Very simple. The less rules, the better, in my opinion. And this was a good way to exit the field and come back into the world of streaming and ease myself into tomorrow, where you can find me, which is a 12-hour charity stream. So this was my intro, walk, crawl before you run kind of thing. So tomorrow you can find me on May Gaming from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are raising money for Extra Life charity for kids. I do it every month, and you can find me on May Gaming on all social media platforms.
Good stuff, man. I enjoyed it a lot. And definitely a very good addition to the team. I think Damien will fit in very nicely.
Thank you.
Moving right along, of course. Chelsea, you had to do some serious grifting in that one, and you did.
Grifted the shit out of this game.
Yeah, you had to grift the shit out of it. You really did. There were a lot of very good moments there that you had to play, especially when you had to roll with Benjamin just being like, I'm going to pull some shady thing.
I know.
Just being like, what are you doing? That was very funny.
All I wanted was the wine.
Yeah, I know. But that worked very well. How did you feel about stuff? And same question. How did you feel about things?
It was a great game, and I think it's one of those things. Like anytime you play a character like Vivian, to actually get to do the thing you're good at, because obviously she can't take a shotgun from a grown man.
Yeah. I was glad that narratively it didn't quite work that way.
No, it's cool. It happens. It was definitely the risk there that I was most interested in. But yeah, it's always nice to play a very charismatic character that gets the opportunity to, like, especially with this system, the way it's built, to get to actually use those skills beyond like simply convincing someone to do your beck and call. To actually like use it in conversation is just it's really refreshing, actually. So obviously I have a little bit of a crush on this game and this system. So I had a blast tonight. It was awesome to get to like get rid of the strange Stepford American cult thing. So that was good. Yeah. But you can find me online pretty much on all the social medias. At little_red_dot. I actually was just telling them before this game, I have just a weekend jam-packed. I've got like 15 or 16 hours.
I saw that on your tweet. My God.
So you can catch me. So tomorrow morning I'm running a private game, but you can catch me tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Vampire the Masquerade campaign I'm currently in. Following that promptly after, over on Monty Cook's channel, we're going to be doing a Numenera. I've never played, so
Cool.
it'll be my first. I'm playing a very like river tam type, cooked in a petri dish baby.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, a little girl. And then you can catch me Sunday, actually. I'm doing a charity thing for a friend on Debaldi's channel. So you can check me out in a few places just this weekend, but my usual weeks are jam-packed with everything from podcast release to regular games, and getting ready, in fact, to join a special little campaign starting in a couple weeks over on somebody's channel. He might be called Unmade Gaming. So there's lots of things coming down the pipelines for me in the fall. But the best way to keep up with that is to hit me up on my Twitter. And if you don't like Twitter, go there long enough to find my Discord link in my profile. And you can hop over to my Discord, where I also post stuff and we chat all day long in tabletop RPGs. So yeah, that's me.
Good stuff. Thank you, Chelsea. As always, a pleasure. Great job today. Moving right along, Lauren, you got a chance to, Stasi got a chance to heavy it up too. There was some serious heavy moments for Stasi. Although I have to say, I like the fact that we started with 50s beehive haircut and ended with you like vertical boat daggering guys. I'm like, that seems like a satisfying arc, it seems to me, for Stasi. But how did you feel about stuff? Where will the folks see you next?
I felt very good about everything I did tonight. Good boot daggers, opening doors, spider mating it up. It's all good. If you want to find me around the internet, you can check me out at That Salty Ginger over on Twitter. In terms of RPGs this weekend, tomorrow night on the Greyhawk channel is the finale of the Valley of Soot and Skull. It's a high-level D&D campaign run by that guy over there. Right? Yep, that one.
Yeah, there's
that
like 5 people, folks, in tabletop, and like everybody runs everyone's game. So like only, like basically this is the only 5 people that exist, and we just like play games for each other. Except for Will.
Greg's not invited me to his channel yet.
Oh well.
Do I have to have a cool hat?
Yes.
Is that what it is? I need a cool hat.
Cool hat or glasses.
It's
That's it.
required. Yeah.
Well,
That's
clearly I didn't nail it tonight. I'll have to do better.
Damn.
That's the next place you can find me. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern over on the Greyhawk channel. We're off Project Athena Pop Cthulhu this Sunday, but you can find if you want to catch up, it's super fun. We punch lots of Nazis and do other things. You can catch up on the YouTubes. Yeah, that is it for me. See you next time.
Good stuff. Thank you, Lauren. Again, great job tonight. And last but certainly not least, Greg, we had a chance to do a lot of like, again, I loved one of my favorite parts of the last session was the baseball thing. I love the opening section of that, getting to play that little baseball, pitch catch thing, pitch and batting thing was a lot of fun. And you got a chance to do the sort of wrinkle of deciding to just show up while Vivian's doing her thing was very funny also. So how did you feel about things for you today, and where will the fine people see you next?
Oh, I loved it. I love the system. Like Mike said, anytime it's you can do something simple that it's narrative based and you're able to kind of just flow with it. And with a group like this, and with a GM like you, it's easy to kind of bounce and do things like that, which makes it a lot more fun and a lot more organic to me. I love to tell the story, and I love the stories that you come up with because you can tell that you prep the hell out of them. You've got great instances of historic elements that are being thrown into it. It's great. It's like playing one of the old 60s spy shows, and I love it. It's the best. Grimjack21502 on the Twitches and the Twitters. Where you can next find me in this wonderful, wonderful thing we call the Twitch is tomorrow on my own channel from 2 to 4 doing some Pulp Cthulhu's Project Chronos. And as Lauren mentioned, tomorrow night on the Greyhawk channel, we will have our season finale for the Valley of Soot and Skull starting at 9 Eastern. I will be off on Sundays, but speaking about things that are coming up, on my channel next Friday, we have Conan Age Undreamed Of from 12 to 2, and Firefly will be starting up with their finale coming soon. But I will take a moment to say the 80s are a-coming, my friends, and they are coming with hits. As this fall, in just a few short weeks, a few short Mondays, I will be over on Unmade Gaming doing a little Tales from the Loop, and we are going to be running back to the 80s, doing some fun things. Look on my Twitter I'm putting playlists up from the 80s, so you can see exactly what I'm thinking and listening to, and what you should be listening to if you are kind enough to watch the show, I will let you know that the very first one is called Predator.
Oh,
Until
very
then,
nice.
and until we go again, I will see you guys next time here, being a spy.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. That's we were joking beforehand about the fact that 3 of these people, I won't say whom, were kind of like, oh yeah, we get to sort of play with stuff that, you know, our parents and like other people did. And Greg and I are like, yeah, we lived through the 80s.
The elderly.
That's our life. Yes, the elderly, exactly. The elder Gregs of the group. But anyway, it was a great pleasure. I really enjoy, I have loved this system since I really kind of sunk my teeth into it, but I knew when I put together the cast for it that I really needed experienced good players who had great chemistry with each other. There you go. Like this system would not work with everybody, but I think it works really well with experienced people, and I have a blast seeing what these guys throw at me and at each other, and it was great fun. So thank you guys. I'm really glad that we've made this into a series, and I'm just going to say, without getting into too much detail, for people in chat, there are guest stars afoot. There are plans aplenty, and as we move into the fall, there's going to be some studying of backstory too, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. But wonderful stuff out of all of them. So Grimjack, Salty Ginger, Little Red Dot, and Unmade Gaming, wonderful stuff from all of you. Make sure you follow all these wonderful people's channels, and I will close up shop for my channel, but I will let them go. Thank you guys so much. Apologies again that I had to get here a little bit late because of the vacation thing, but I'm here. You guys were awesome, and chat, can we get some love for the players, and I will see you guys next month. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Okay. That is it for them. And yeah, man, I really, as I said, every campaign that I play, I love for different reasons. And this is one of those ones that I love. Whoops. Okay. I didn't do that right. I is pro streamer. I do everything. Never mind any of what I just did there. I will just get rid of that because I know what I'm doing here, and that's just me, and I'm not stretching out at all. Yeah, there we go. That's what happens when I'm running here. But that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And again, it's a great pleasure. You know, as I say, some of the campaigns, again, not every system works this way. Like, I love narrative a great deal, but I think if D&D was that narrative focused, it would basically not be D&D anymore. It would be something else. But I really like what this is. I really like what this does. And I think it gives enough rules that you can kind of work with things. Also, I have to say that these guys have also been rolling really well. I mean, we've gotten a lot of, like, I think the lowest score was, was Chelsea 7 that she rolled for Vivian when she was trying to do a heavy maneuver, but the best she could have gotten would have been a 12. So that was pretty reasonable. Other than that, though, the lowest roll I think was a 12. Everything else is 17, 18, 23, 19, 18. So they were rolling pretty well, but they did a great job with this, and it was a great time, and I enjoyed it, and I hope that you folks did too. That is going to do it for me for this evening, but it is not going to do it for this channel for the weekend, because tomorrow, Saturday, we have got some Esper Genesis coming. So our space opera is going to return. We will have with us tomorrow Zach Clay, we will have Cat Rambo, and we will have Video Store Cowboy. Louise Moore will not be with us tomorrow because she is going to be on vacation, which I just came back from. But next month, again, August is a disaster to schedule anything, but starting in September, everything will stabilize. We'll have people together for 2 sessions, and we'll have the full crew and all that. But we will still have 3 out of 4 tomorrow, so we will be continuing Crisis at Peltavaria tomorrow. That will be happening sometime around, I believe it is 7:30, somewhere between 7 and 8. I need to double check to make absolutely sure. And yes, Brahms, the character background for an Esper Genesis character, for sure. Yeah, because of the support that you gave the Patreon today, you'll be able to get one of those, and I'll just have to double check. That's going to be sometime in September. September's going to be busy. I'm going to be a busy bee. I got the beginning of my semester, of course. I've got some writing for a project I can't talk about that I'm doing. I've got something else coming through that I can't talk about yet. And I will have the character background to fulfill. Plus, I'm going to be doing some work on my academic book. So I got a lot of stuff that's going on, but that's cool. It's all fun stuff that I'm doing. So, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to get a little late snack before I head to bed. But I hope everyone enjoyed themselves today, and I hope you are looking forward to the next time, because that will be good times. Yes, oh, and speaking of that, I actually just got a copy of Emberwind, The Skies of Axia. This is actually the one that we just played, Brahms, by the way. So I actually just got a copy of this, and it's beautiful art, and it looks really awesome. It's super cool. Your autobiography. Yes, well, that dragon is a super secret. I wouldn't feel right revealing any of that. That's a super secret. So, but anyway, good time tonight. I hope people enjoyed it and had fun. Yeah, it really is nice. It really is a nice book. So it is super fancy like. But I am going to head off to bed. We are going to be, something that we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing our raid. I think I'm just going to do, though, a automatic raid, basically. So I'm going to do an automatic raid where I actually have the channel to it. So I'm basically going to find someone to raid. And if you're able to wait around until we get to that point, that would be really cool. And then I will head over and do that raid, and we'll see who we've got. I think I have a couple of possibilities here. I think I know who I will probably raid here. I think I know maybe who I've got. Yeah. I think I know who I've got. I have not raided this person in a while, so I think this will be good. I know who it's going to be. So, but that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everyone for making this an awesome stream tonight. Thank you all to my wonderful viewers. If you haven't already done so, please consider following the channel, which is really important and really helps. Please consider checking out my YouTube channel with !ArvTube, Steam group with the Discord with !ArvCord. Please make sure to check out the Twitter with !ArvTweets. Please make sure to subscribe to all those. That really helps. Please make sure to check out, in addition to that, the shop, the merchandise. We're going to be having a Simon Unpossible merchandise over there too, !Arv shop. Please make sure to check out the Patreon, of course, !Arvtreon, which thanks to Brahms and thanks to Geronimo is now up to 428.96, which is super exciting. So we are back up over 400 and charging again up towards the 500 level and on. So that's really super cool. And thank you all so much for supporting the Patreon. And thank you to those of you, including Geronimo, who resubbed or subbed here. I think we're up to like 37 subs now. So we're heading in the right direction there too as well. So thank you all for the support. Again, never a requirement, but it's always appreciated. Thanks to all of my wonderful viewers. Thank you to my wonderful mods. Thank you to Dragon Spear and to Chaotix. Thank you as well to Chaotix for his work on the Simon Unpossible overlay, which he did a great job with. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers, to Dragon Spear, to Brahms, to Nonstop, to Rock God, to Uncle Elias. Thank you as well to my Patreon supporters that don't show up on there, but people like Chaotix and others who support the Patreon. Thank you. And Brahms, of course, etc. Thank you to my viewers. Thank you to Apple Bad Apple, to Edelwin. Thank you to Booth Wilkes. Thank you to Commander Root, Decaf Smurf, EK, Kooky Canuck, Mr. Mano, Mrs. Dunsel. Thank you to Thank you to Petra Have to Rala Song. Thank you to Stay Hydrated Bot for keeping me hydrated. Thank you to Unmade Gaming. Great job tonight, Unmade. Thank you to VNK. Thank you to Valerian Gamer. And thank you to Virgo Praz. Also, thank you, of course, to my players. Thank you to Grimjack. Thank you to Little Red Dot. Thank you to That Salty Ginger. And thank you to Unmade Gaming. Thank you to Greg, Chelsea, Lauren, and Mike. All did a wonderful job. Really happy that we have you together as a group. And I'm looking forward to next month already and seeing what the next adventures of this crew will bring. But right now, I'm going to sign off, and then we are going to do this raid. So thanks to everyone who was here. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll spread the word about the show. Please stick around. We're going to do that outro video, and then as soon as that's done, I will send people over on their automatic raid. Until I speak to you tomorrow, Saturday evening for Esper Genesis. Everyone, be good to each other. Have a good night.